Hey there, welcome to this video where we're going to be doing a tutorial on the Firerod category. So this is a really fun and unique category extension for the Minish cap where we use the Firerods to beat the game way faster than we would in any percent. So, first off, what is the Firerod? So you may be aware of the Firerod item in other Zelda games, and in Minish Cap, there is no Firerod. They initially had the idea, the developers initially wanted to put a Firerod in, but they didn't get past the concept stage and making a sprite for it. And what we do need to talk about is developer tools. So when developers are making video games, they will create a bunch of tools for them to use whilst playing the game to be able to test things in the game, such as being able to just spawn in enemies to test how their interactions work. And quite a lot of the time in video game development, these developer tools never get removed in the final version of the game. There's just no way of accessing them straight away. If you're at all aware of Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask speedrunning, you may have heard that there is there at least used to be a route where they would gain access to the developer menu in the game and use that to give them all of the items and just be able to beat the game incredibly quickly that way. And Minish Cap is no different. There are developer tools left over in the game that do fancy things. One of them is called Tile Set Overwrite, and it lets you copy and paste tiles and be able to edit the tile that you have on a specific spot. And it turns out that the item value for this item you can give to one of you can set Link to have this item in his inventory, and you can set it to be an equipable item, and it has the sprite of the Firerod on it. So this is why we call it the Firerod category, because we're using this tile set overwrite to be able to walk through walls and beat the game. So there's no legitimate way of acquiring this item through glitches. Instead, we are running on a romhack, which is available. I'll have links in the description for you to be able to download it. And what the romhack does is it changes one thing. This chest in Link's house normally has 20 rupees. It replaces it with the Firerod. So let's open that up now. So here's the Firerod. And it just automatically goes to the A button. Another one of the changes that done on the ROM hack as well is it adds an extra slot here on the side of the pause menu with the Firerod, so that you can re-equip it. If you select other items and equip over it, you'll be able to come to your menu here and equip over this. Right, how does the Firerod actually work? What are the fundamentals to be able to use the Firerod? So when you press the Firerod button, you copy the tile that's directly in front of Link. And then when you release it, you then paste that tile down. It doesn't paste the exact tile, but the tile type. So we're copying a walkable floor tile and then pasting it over, and it's creating a walkable floor tile here. We can pick up a tile like here and then paste it over there, and you'll notice that it's not copied a walkable floor tile over to this wall here. It's pasted this like weird bugged tile. The reason for this is when I use the Firerod and then press either left or right, it will modify the value that Link has in that is the tile that he's copied to another tile in this list. Effectively, it's basically pretty random. We'll get more onto it a bit later, but in order to avoid this, you want to press another button whilst you're using the Firerod, and that's the R button. If you hold A and R, Link starts flashing like this, and this locks in the tile that you have, so that it's not changing as you move Link around. I'm locking this tile into a walkable floor tile, so then I can place it anywhere, like so. So this is the most basic use of the Firerod, is holding A and B and pasting it over a single tile, like so. And the third button that we're going to introduce is the B button. You can hold A, R, and B, and what B does is it continuously pastes the tile that you have copied all in all the 4 directions around Link. And you can use that to be able to just like walk around and paste it like a paintbrush around Link, like so. And that is pretty much the fundamentals of how the Firerod works, and we're going to use this, that is the main functionality of the Firerod throughout the entire run. There's more complicated things, how it interacts with the game, how the game works, but you can mess around with the Firerod just like this and encounter all of the different intricacies of and quirks of how it works. So, for the speedrun, what do we do? The very first thing that we do in the speedrun, after we pick up the Firerod from this chest, is we're going to go and to get the sword, because the sword is pretty important to be able to do a lot of things. If you have a look at the world record run of this category, you'll see that they don't get the sword, and instead they use bombs for the first half of the run to be able to kill enemies without using the sword. That's a very tricky route that has very difficult strats, and as a beginner you'll want to do this as the sword route, and it's the most popular route at the moment that lots of people are picking up and learning. So yeah, we want to get to the castle as quickly as possible, and so we could just exit Link's house and walk all the way to the castle, but that's really slow. What we're going to do instead is we're going to do a wrong warp. So it's not exactly the same as a wrong warp that would be defined in other video games, but like for example in Ocarina of Time, because these warps are somewhat intended, but we're going to basically here. Like, this is a better explanation for this. So here we've got these 2 rooms in Link's house connected together by a screen transition. And this is this screen transition is not a set tile that you stand on. What we're doing is we're touching the left-hand edge of the screen, and it's loading the room that is located to the left and of this room. And again here we're going to walk and touch the right-hand side of the screen and transition to the right. What happens if we touch the right-hand side of this screen? Well, it's going to do exactly the same. It's going to transition us into the room that is located in memory to the right of this room. And what room is that? That is Dampé's hut in the graveyard. Dampé's hut in the graveyard is right next to the castle, so we're going to go to that. Now, there are 2 different ways of being able to transition to the right. We can either touch the right-hand side screen transition here to be able to transition to the right. That is going to cause some issues involved with when we transition, there's going to be a wall, and we're going to get stuck inside of a wall, and that's not useful. So what we're going to do is we're going to go off-screen to the left here. We're currently off-screen here. We're going off the left-hand side edge of the screen. We're going to roll down like so. I just did a roll down. So if you imagine where Link is, he's like right over my face here on where my webcam is located on the screen. So we're right here. We can touch the left-hand edge of the screen from the right hand from the other side, and it's the same as touching the right hand side because we're touching the edge screen transition in the same direction. It's gonna load us into the room on the right. We like to call these wraparound transitions, where you can do the same here. You go off screen on the left, touch the side of the screen, and you transition in the direction that you're going. So here, we're like, how I'm showing with my hand here, we're going to touch the left and the side of the screen here with Link like this, and it's going to load Danpei's hut like this. Now, Link at the moment is like over here off screen, and I'm going to roll a couple times here. And Link is like off screen, directly above my head right now. We're going to use the Firerod here whilst off screen and walk onto screen. Oh yeah, there he is. So Link was like really far over on the left and is going to walk over to be on screen here. Now, we can exit out of here by going through this entrance, but again, this transition extends across the entire floor of this area, so we can go off screen, like, as soon as we transition over into this room, we can go down and just exit out of here. So let's go through that in full speed here. So what you want to do is you get the Firerod at the beginning of the run, you paste over these tiles, you roll down, you walk to the right to screen transition over to Danpei's hut, and then you walk down, and it transitions you out of the house like so. And yeah, it would be really useful to be able to show this stuff with a free cam, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on off screen in the Firerod category that is difficult to get your head around, but I'm trying to explain with words what is happening to Link off screen. But it would be really useful to have a visual aid for this. Right, so now that we're in the graveyard, we're going to copy and paste these floor tiles here. We're going to paste it around, we're going to walk down to, like, what is the best way to describe this? So I like to walk down diagonally to this spot here, and then from here we touch the side, the screen transition to transition into Hyrule Field. So instead of walking all the way down from the hut, instead of walking all the way down to here and then transitioning through here, we're doing it at the uppermost point possible. If you go to like here and try and screen transition, it doesn't work, and you can test to see how far down you need to go by just copying and pasting one tile at a time. But yeah, that is the highest point that you can transition at. Okay, so now we're here. We want to roll to the right here and then use the Firerod and walk over to this spot over here. Now, we can transition into Hyrule Castle either by walking all the way over to the bridge and going through that transition, but that's slow. We can transition a little bit further over to the left here from this spot here. Now, this is going to be a little bit awkward because when we transition, we're going to be put inside of a wall straight away. And we want to avoid that as much as possible, but when we go this way, there is literally no way of avoiding being stuck in the wall. So we're going to do a strat called Soft Lock Prevention, where we do an alignment against a side of a wall before doing a screen transition, and that puts Link halfway between two tiles so that he's able to break out easily with the Firerod. So I'm going to demonstrate that here. So what we want to do is we paste the tiles like so. What you're looking for is you're looking at the wall like this. Let me just capture cursor here, so you should be able to see it. Here we got the mouse here. So what you're looking at is you're looking at the wall. You're looking at this second like little bastion like thing that sticks out, and you are aligning with the left edge of that, and you are deleting the tiles, this tile and this other tile underneath here. So let me just remove this so that it's easier to see. Is that no? That is the wrong thing that I got rid of. There we go. Okay, so this is what you're aiming to do. You're aiming to delete the tiles like so, like this, so that you've got a tile here that is exposed to the screen transition, but you've got a corner here. You've got this corner here. What we want to do is we want to walk against this corner so that Link gets pushed a little bit to the side, and all you're doing is you're holding up as you walk through here to hit the screen transition. That is what Soft Lock Prevention is. You find a corner like this, and you walk against it as you walk up into the screen transition. So with the regular view of the thing up, this is what it looks like. So this is slightly difficult to see because this is well, Link is off screen, but yeah, this is what it will look like. So we transition up like so, and Link gets put in the wall like this. And now if you try and walk around, Link is stuck in a wall and we can't get out. You can notice that Link is stuck like this because like he's sort of like vibrating like this. Like at 6, he's alternating one frame at a time. If you're watching this at 30 FPS, it may not seem like anything's happening, but if you're watching this at 60 FPS, you can see a frame perfect flashing. And up here with the R button as well, you can see that it's flashing. Now it's we can break out of softlocks like this by using the Firerod to copy a walkable floor tile here. We're going to copy the floor tile that's directly in front of Link, because Link is like right on the edge of a tile here. Like this is the tile edge here. When we copy this tile with A, B, R, and it's going to paste a regular tile to the right here, it's going to push Link out of the wall, and he's going to be free. We're going to break out of the wall like this. Now, one of the issues with being stuck in the wall like this is the game is alternating one frame at a time from being stuck in the wall, and it's trying to save Link and move him to a position that is like a safe position, and it's recognizing that he's stuck in a wall. So effectively, the Firerod is only going to work on half of the frames that are running in the game, and you don't know if you've got a good frame or not. So the best way to be able to get a good frame is we're going to mash the A button. But so what we're going to do is we're going to hold B and R, and then we're going to mash the A button until we get a tile that works. And there we got a tile that works, and Link we managed to hit a frame that let us use the Firerod, and it broke Link out of bounds like that. So that is how we're going to break out of walls like so. If you ever do any kind of transitions badly and get stuck in a wall, that is your action of what you need to try and do. You want to face out externally to the wall, hold B and R, and then you mash A until you manage to copy tiles around you, and then you can break out, and then you will be able to walk out like this. Am I okay with a host on ZSR? Let's go. I'm recording a tutorial at the moment, but yeah, I'm happy for people to come in from ZSR. So, right, now that we've broken out of this wall, we're going to roll up through here. We're going to use the Firerod to walk through this bush like so. And we're going to come up to here. Now, there is a big a trigger here that is going to play the really long cutscene where Vaati destroys the sword and releases all of the monsters. And that's such an incredibly long cutscene. We're going to avoid that completely. We're going to come to this spot over here that is directly in line with this this window, roughly in line like here, and we're going to walk up to this spot here. What we're doing is we're lining Link up with the middle of the loading zone here. We're going to walk as far up like this, and then we're going to copy and paste over to this spot here and walk up into the loading zone like that. Now, you have to be a bit careful that you don't paste your tiles and delete over the loading zone. That's not ideal at all. And that is how we get into Hyrule Castle, ideally avoiding the trigger at all. Play around with that area, like make a save state before that area, and just have like walk into the trigger in a few places so that you've got a mental idea in your head where the trigger is. It's pretty big, but if you do that movement that I demonstrated, you shouldn't be at risk at all of hitting the trigger. Now we're going to go and get the sword, so we're going to roll up through here. And then we're going to roll up here. Now we're going to get up onto layer 2 so that we can walk over the walls. So we're going to walk up to here. And now Link is like underneath the floor, but if we release the Firerod and then walk up, it's going to push Link up onto layer 2. So now we're on the upper layer and be able to walk over the top of the walls. So we're going to roll up to here. There's a wall here that's preventing us from being able to walk further. So we're going to we're going to use the Firerod and walk through the wall like so. And then when we get to here, because we're on layer 2, there is a door frame that is in the way here. So we need to walk around to the side of this door frame to be able to transition up into this room. So now we're going to roll up here, and we are going to hit a trigger here. There's a big trigger that is about like this size here. So when we get into this room, we want to diagonally walk over to the left a little bit, walk up to here, and then hit the trigger from this spot so that Link doesn't have to walk very far at all. And now we've got this cutscene here, so just do your regular mashing, which is hold B and mash directions and A and R to mash through these text boxes. And this is going to get us the sword. Let me just speed this up. Right, so we're still on layer 2 here. So we're just going to roll over to the side here and roll to the right and down and transition like so. We're going to roll to the right and down a few times here. And we're just going to exit the castle now. So we're going to transition to this through this transition here. Now, we can roll all the way down to the bottom and screen transition out of the castle. But that's really slow, and instead we can touch the bottom screen transition from the top with a wraparound screen transition. So just as we did at Dampe, like at the very beginning of the run to get into Dampe, we're going to do it to exit the castle here. So we're going to use the Firerod like so to be able to walk out of bounds. We're going to walk over to the left a little bit, and then we're going to go down to touch the top of the screen transition, and it's going to kick us out of the castle like so. We can make use of these wraparound screen transitions to save a lot of walking and movement in the overworld to be able to get through areas really quickly. So now we want to go and get Eslo. We want to go to Minish Woods. Now we can walk all the way through the overworld to get to there, but we don't want to do that. We want to get the fastest way there, and we're going to exploit rooms that are located next to each other in memory, like we did at the beginning of the run with the houses. The houses were next to each other. We're going to exploit trees. You know those big trees with entrances that you can walk inside, and you can walk inside the internals of a tree? All of those tree internals are connected together, and we're going to exploit that a little bit. And the other thing we're going to exploit is dojos. The dojos where you learn your sword upgrades are all connected together and right next to each other. We're going to exploit that as well. So there is a dojo right here in the castle area that we're going to be able to break directly into with the Firerod. So we're going to walk through this wall over here. We're going to walk all the way over here, down to this spot here. Now you can, if you're worried at all, just slash these bits of grass, but you can do it a little bit faster if you use the Firerod. You can walk through here. You want to make sure that you do not delete, you do not replace over the tile that is the ladder. And the tile, the furthest down you want to go is here. You want to make sure that you don't delete these two tiles. You want two tiles below, like from the wall up here. You want to make sure that you don't go that far down. This is the lowest that you want to go. And then you can slash here to reveal the ladder and then walk down. Right, now we're in the... okay. Never mind. Now that we're in the dojo, we're going to go past the ladder and up into the dojo here. Now, we're going to do a wraparound screen transition just like we did in Link's house, exactly the same, and to get over to the dojo to the right of this. So currently we're in Waveblade, which is the dark... no, sorry. We're in Greyblade. Greyblade? Grimblade, sorry. Grimblade is this one, which is the one that's in the dark at the castle. The one to the right of us is Waveblade. So we're going to go off screen, we're going to screen transition to the right here, and then we're going to touch the bottom screen transition by just holding down, and it's going to kick us out of the dojo into the tree. This is the tree that in Lake Hylia that you go into to get to Waveblade. Waveblade's the sword guy that you need to give 10 hearts to get to learn the upgrade. Now, this tree is right next to a tree that's located in Minish Woods. So we're going to do one wraparound screen transition to get to that tree. So we're going to do a wraparound here at this tree. And then we're going to just walk down to touch the bottom screen transition, and it's going to kick us out into Minish Woods, and we're at this tree, located right in the middle of Minish Woods. So that is the fastest way of getting to the castle to Minish Woods. And that is, we're going to go through the dojo, one wraparound screen transition, exit the dojo into a tree, one wraparound screen transition, exit down, and we're in Minish Woods. Okay, now we're going to go and unlock Eslo. Now, to make Eslo spawn, we need to hit the trigger that is located here. So we're just going to walk directly through the wall. Instead of having to run all the way around through Minish Woods, we're going to walk through the wall to get to Eslo and watch that cutscene like so. So the easiest thing to do is just, you can walk all the way to, like, you can just copy floor tiles, walk all the way to Eslo, kill the Octos, and then get Eslo. We're going to show a little bit of a more advanced strat here, and we are going to abuse the fact that when you drown, you get teleported to the last, valid tile that Link was stood on, and we're going to make this tile this one here, the one that Link has stood on right here. We're going to keep this as the last valid tile by walking on shallow water. Shallow water doesn't count as a valid tile location, so if we can drown here, you'll see that it will spawn Link at this tile here, like so. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy these shallow water tiles and walk with it all the way up to Eslo. And we're going to walk up to this spot here. And we're going to be in this line here. So we want to align Link so that the tiles that he's pasting are below these Octorocks. Now, these Octorocks we can't actually damage right now, but we're going to set them up to be instantly killed as soon as we trigger the cutscene. And how are we going to do that? We're going to make them drown. Now, at the beginning, how I explained how the Firerod works, I said if you copy a tile with just A and you're not holding R at all, when you press left or right, every time you press it, it adjusts the tile that you have copied. Now, this list is the tiles that get changed to. It's a consistent list. And this whole action that we're going to do is called tile cycling. We are going to take a tile that we know, copy it, press left or right a set number of times, and it's going to modify the tile that we started from to a tile that we want. And we're going to make use of that tile. We're going to use that at several points in this run. Now here, we're going to use deep water tiles to be able to drown these guys. A deep water tile is located one tile left of a shallow water tile. So here we've copied the shallow water tile. We're going to tap once to the left like so, release, and we've got deep water tile right like that. So what we do is we stand at this spot here, directly below this Octo, and we copy a shallow water tile, tap left, and then drop a deep water tile on this spot here. So we want to make sure that Link is 2 tiles below this Octo in this position here. And drop a deep water tile there. Now we can hold A and R to copy the deep water tile and paste it over the Octo, so that the Octo is hovering over this deep water tile like so. Right, now we're going to walk to the right, and then we're going to copy the shallow water tiles again. Make sure, remember, you need to make sure that the whole time you're doing this, you are only ever walking on shallow water. If you accidentally touch the deep water, you're going to respawn all the way back over at the spot that we first started copying tiles. And if you touch any regular walking tiles, you're going to respawn here whenever you drown next, which is not what we want to happen. So you want to make sure that you're only ever stepping on shallow water tiles at this point. So now we copied the shallow water tiles. We're going to walk all the way to the right here, and we're going to stop with Link directly below this Octo here. It's going to delete this bush here, And we are going to make sure that this bush above us is also not destroyed. So this is the ideal position right here. And then from this spot, we do the same thing. We're going to copy the shallow water tile, modify it to a deep water tile, and then press up and paste it underneath this octo like that. Now that this fight is set up, so that the octos are directly over the deep water, they're going to drown the instant that we activate the fight. Now, the trigger for activating the fight is located on these tiles here that I'm indicating here with the mouse cursor. So these tiles here are going to trigger the fight to start. We want to put Link directly in front of Eslo when we trigger the start of this fight, so that Link doesn't have to walk very far. So we're going to mash through these text boxes like so. Bam! The Octos just died instantly. Pretty funny. That's a nice, quirky, fun part of this. So yeah, so we mash through these text boxes so that Eslo starts following us. We're going to roll once to the right to get Eslo to follow us again. We're going to roll to the left again, and roll to the left a second time to get Eslo to jump onto our head. Now that Eslo's jumped onto our head, now we can drown. It's really important that you don't fall into the deep water until you get Eslo to jump on your head. Otherwise, if you drown before that, Eslo's going to very slowly walk all the way through Minish Woods to jump on your head, and it's very slow and loses a lot of time. So now the camera snaps over to Link like so. I forgot to mention something there, but when the camera is panning really slowly across the screen to get to Link's position, we want to pause buffer. We want to pause and unpause. What that does is it instantly snaps the camera to Link's position. We don't need to wait for the camera to slowly move. So every time the camera does that, starts moving, and at these specific points like that, we're going to do a pause buffer like so. Right, now that we've got Link's hat, can I show it off again? Oh yeah, sure, I can set this is my tile position here, so let's just walk up like so, up to here. We're going to drown like this. I'm going to pause buffer like that, and it instantly snaps the camera to Link like that. There we go. So we didn't have to wait for the camera to slowly come over to Link. So yeah, so we're going to paste over to here. We want to get into Deepwood, and okay, so loading zones. There is actually a loading zone located here, but we just can't interact with it. Now, if we can copy a loading zone from somewhere else, paste it over there and walk onto it, it's going to load us directly into Deepwood, which is really fascinating. So we're going to tile cycle to get a loading zone tile. And how are we going to do that? We're going to copy this tile here, this corner here. We're going to look at this corner on this, you see this green corner thing here. We're going to do this bottom right corner here. We're going to stand by it like so. We're going to copy it. Actually, is it best to do it from here? We're going to copy it like that. We're going to tap to the left 13 times? Is it 13? Dreamy, please correct me on this. It's 13, right? We're going to count this many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, okay, so that is the loading zone tile. We're going to paste it like that and then walk over. Wait, no, that wasn't right. Okay, it wasn't 13. But these are the tiles that you're looking for, basically. If you so you may not exactly always land on the tile that you're looking for. It is 13. Okay, I'm not sure why it didn't work there, but you want to count in your head 13. You normally copy. You copy the doorway. Not okay. So if you were to copy the doorway and I'd normally do that left wall, but okay. Because it's slightly less. But yeah, you pretty much like you would get something like here, like these tiles here, is when you're copying. You hold A and B, and you just tap left, and you keep tapping left, and you're going past all of these like peg tiles. What you're looking for is either this tile or this tile. These are the tree entrance tiles, and we are going to use them to get into Deepwood. So we're going to copy it over the entrance like that, and we're going to walk into it, and bam, it puts us directly into Deepwood Shrine like this. Eslo's going to give us Eslo trigger that we're gonna get rid of like that. Now, there are two things we want to do here in Deepwood. We want to get the Gust Jar, and we want to get the element. So the first thing is to get the Gust Jar, because we can't get the element without the Gust Jar. The Gust Jar is located at the very top left-hand corner of this dungeon, so we can slowly go through every single room one at a time, just go to the next room one at a time, and transition through the walls of the rooms by just using the Firerod to walk through them. But we don't have to do that. We can abuse the left hand, like the it would be really handy to have a map up of this dungeon to explain what is going on here. I've got a map of this somewhere. Let me find it. Whoop. It'd be very, very useful to have maps of all of the areas in the game so that we can demonstrate what the hell is going on. Deepwood Shrine, here we go. Right, let me try and pull this up somewhere. Okay, right, so here we go. So here's Deepwood Shrine. So this is the entrance of this dungeon that we are located right now. What we want to do is we want to go all the way up to this room here, to where the Gust Jar is located. Now, we can make use of the fact that the edge of the screen right here, there is no room to the left here, so if we try and screen transition to the left, it's just not going to transition to anything. But that doesn't ignore the fact that, like, the left-hand edge of the screen transition are transition tiles that would transition us to a room on the left. Now, we need to talk about parallel universes. It's not just a meme associated with the A button challenge in Super Mario 64, but we are actually going to make use of parallel universes here in Minish Cap. If you go far enough off screen, your coordinates eventually wrap around to put Link back in the room that you are originally in. And it's a very weird thing that happens to Link. Link isn't there, but his shadow is. Actually, let's show that now. Let's show that right now. So, if we delete these tiles down here, so that there is no wall blocking us on the bottom hand side of the screen here, and we're going to delete these tiles like so. We're going to roll about 12 times up off screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If we roll up a couple more times, 1, 2, 3, we have Link's shadow here. Link is in a parallel universe version of this room, located much further up in this dungeon. Where is that located? That is all the way up here. The alternate copy of this room is located roughly here, coordinate-wise. Link has rolled all the way to this position here. So, we can make Shadow Link touch the left-hand edge of the screen here in this room because Link maintains the properties of being in this room. But the game is going to look at Link's real coordinates, and Link is really located up here. So when it transitions Link, it's going to transition us into this room here. Now, why did we have to delete the tiles located below Link here? Below this doorway? This is a solid wall here. So as Link was like rolling off screen, the shadow version of Link from another parallel universe, like further down, would have come up to here and hit this wall here and not being able to go further up after about 12 rolls. So that's why we deleted the tiles that were here, so that as we rolled up, we just rolled directly up into this room. There were no tiles blocking us off here, and we were able to enter into this area here. Okay. So we made sure to delete the tiles at the bottom of this room and at the top of this room. We transitioned up through here. Now we've got Shadow Link like so. See, he's going to be able to interact with the walls like so. But we can use the Firerod here to be able to still like interact with this room. We're going to come up to this spot here, use the Firerod to get over to here. When we walk under the floor here, it's going to push Link up onto layer 2. We're now on layer 2 like so. We're going to touch this left-hand screen transition. It's going to transition us into the room on the left. It's going to read where Link's actual coordinates are located, which is way up in the dungeon. We're going to do a pause buffer to snap Link over, and bam, we are at the top of the dungeon here. So now we want to transition into the Madapillar fight to be able to fight the Madapillar. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk up to... I think it's fairly safe to transition at any point, but like you're roughly going to do it about here. Now we need to jump down into the Madapillar fight. To jump down from layer 2 onto layer 1, we need to use a doorway. Now, we don't want to jump on this spot here, because it's going to jump us down behind this web and we're going to get stuck here. So you want to either jump from this spot here to here, or from here to here. So we're just going to jump down like so. Now we want to hit the Madapillar, and you want to pop it on the nose and then slash it as quickly as possible. Now, in the Madapillar fight, you need to be rather careful. There is a chance to softlock this fight. And I say softlock, it hard crashes the game. This crash happens when the Madapillar gets into a dead end. When the Madapillar walks into a dead end, it just crashes. So you want to make sure that you do not make any dead ends in the walls for the Madapillar to be able to get stuck in. However, we can just copy over these regular tiles here to delete all of the blocks that are blocking and making this fight a little bit awkward, just to make it a little bit safer. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to paste over these like so, just to make it a little bit easier like that. And then you pop it on the nose again, and then mash its tail. You want to try and kill it in 2 cycles like so. If you don't mash your sword, if you don't like hit it as quickly as possible, then you may end up having to do 3 cycles, which loses a lot of time. Right, now we can pick up the Gust Jar. And now we want to go to the boss, and the fastest way to get to the boss is to save and quit to get to the beginning of the dungeon. So we're going to do that. And with this pause, we're also going to equip the Gust Jar because we're going to make use of it in the boss fight. So now we go over to save. We're going to save the game. Whilst the game is saving, we hold AB Start Select, and that buffers a soft reset of the game whilst the save is going on, so that the we restart the game as soon as the save finishes. You want to make sure that you don't hold AB Start Select as soon as you start saving the game. You want to wait like a second or two. When you're playing with emulator, you can have a look at the frame counter. The frame counter turns red when the game is actually saving. All the time the frame counter is red, you can hold AB, start, select, and it will buffer a soft reset. Okay, so now we mash through the title screen by just mashing A, like so. And here we're at the beginning of this dungeon. Now, we want to get upstairs, so we want to go up through these ladders, stairways. But we don't want to use the Gust Jar to get rid of the web because it's slow. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the entrance tile that's located here, and we're going to paste it over the stairway tile like that, and bam, it just puts us straight upstairs. Now, you may have noticed we didn't get a stair walking animation there. Normally, Link walks really slowly up and down these transitions, like this, on both ends of it. Instead of getting that, we just got a very, like, the instantaneous, bam, you're straight in, and you're able to control Link. That saves quite a bit of time, and in various points later in the run, we want to avoid every single one of these stair tiles that we can, if possible. We'll get onto that a bit later, but we're going to be able to tile cycle. If there isn't a loading zone available right next to us, we can tile cycle to get a regular tile, a non-staircase tile that will let us transition up quickly. Now, we want to go into the boss fight, so once we've transitioned up through the ladder like this, we're going to copy ABR to use the Firerod, walk up onto layer 2 like this, and then just touch the top of the screen transition. Bam, it's going to put us into Green Chew like so. Now, Green Chew is a very easy fight in this game, in every category, but it's even easier in Firerod. You don't even need to think about it. The one thing that you need to do at the beginning is as soon as the Green Chew drops down and you get control of Link, what you want to do is you tap A and B and R. You tap it like that to copy 4 tiles around you, like so. Now we're going to use the Gust Jar and just walk backwards into this spot here. And Link is like just nicely nestled into this little hole like here, where Green Chew just can't hurt us, and we're just going to stay here for the rest of the fight. Now, once he starts wobbling, we're just going to pause, equip the sword, and unpause. As soon as it drops down, we're just going to stay in this little hole here and just slash it as soon as it's down. And then when it gets up, we're going to use the Gust Jar again. And you just sit here waiting for it to start wobbling, and then you just mash when it drops down. Right, this is the 3rd cycle. So we want to make sure we're not trapped here, so we're going to walk up like that. We're going to get out of the hole like so. Cool. Right, so now it's going to start wobbling, and we're going to make sure that it's in the middle of the area like this. And we're going to slash and kill it, trigger the end of the fight, and position ourselves so that we can... So Link's not going to walk at all at the end of the fight. If you wait at the bottom of the area, Link walks very slowly up to the middle, and there he didn't walk at all. And bam, that's the element. That's the first dungeon down. Now we want to pick up the heart container. We're going to pick up the heart containers after every boss fight because there is a risk of dying later on in the run. If you are feeling more confident, you can skip out some of these heart containers. I don't really recommend it too much. If you were to skip a heart container, I would probably say this is the heart container that you're going to skip, because you're probably going to not take any damage up to this point. But in between now and all of the other bosses that we do, you're very likely going to be taking quite a bit of damage. So now we exit the dungeon. Now we want to go to the next dungeon. We're going to go to Cave of Flames. And instead of walking all the way through the overworld to get there, we've got a nice shortcut for it. The Minish houses are all connected together. There's the Minish houses in Minish Village, and Malari's Mines. The Minish mines that are located right before Cave of Flames. There are houses in the rooms there that are located in the same room list as that are in Minish Village. So we're going to go directly from Minish Village to Malari's Mines in one screen transition. So we're going to transition down into, we're just going to exit out to this area here. We're going to roll over to this spot over here. Now we're going to equip the Firerod. Make sure that you always have the Firerod equipped on A. That's something I forgot to mention earlier, but the Firerod can be very confusing in how it works if you try and have it on B. If you have it on B, it works very weirdly. Always have it on A to avoid any confusion. So what are we going to do here? What we're going to do is we're going to copy regular tiles to walk through this wall here. And when we're off screen here, we're going to do one roll down, like so. And now we're just going to walk to the left. And now Link should be against this left-hand edge, but like further down off screen. And we're going to hold diagonal down left. And that's going to transition Link into this room here. We wanted to make sure that we were touching the left-hand edge of the screen. When we were holding diagonal down left, it was moving Link slowly down until he hit the first possible spot that we can transition into this room. Link is kind of stuck in this spot right here, but we are touching the top edge of the screen, so if we press up, it doesn't matter that we're stuck, we're just going to instantly exit out of this room into Malari's Mines like so. And we've managed to walk all the way from Minish Village directly to Malari's Mines, right outside the dungeon that we want to go to. So we're going to roll up to this spot here, and we want to get past this guy without having to talk to him to get him to move out the way and triggering the flags for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy AB over a regular floor tile. We're going to paste it directly below him like so, like this. We're just copying one tile like that. Then we walk all the way to the left like this, so we're against the left edge like that, and then we're going to walk up like that. That's a little bit awkward, but if you copy the movement like that, you'll be able to get through. When you mess around with it yourself, you'll notice that it's a little bit funny, but yeah, if you make sure you walk all the way to the left and walk directly up, and only paste over that one tile like so, and it works nicely like that. Okay, now we're going to grow. Yeah, exact. As Dreamy points out, you don't want to delete any more tiles than what I said. If you've deleted any other tiles, you probably want to. If you've deleted any tiles further to the left, you want to. I'll get back to it again because we're going to come back to that spot. I'll mention it again. So here we're going to roll up here, paste over these tiles here because climbing up this ladder is slow. We can use the Firerod to just walk through. And we're going to enter Cave of Flames, where we're going to get an Ezlo trigger here. Roll up into this room. Normally you would go around here, but we can just Firerod through here. Now we're going to copy the loading zone tile that's located here. And we're going to walk around to this staircase here, because we want to avoid walking the long animation for walking down staircases. And we're located here. Now, what do we want to do in this dungeon? Just like in Deepwood, there are two things that we want to do. We want to get the cane, and we want to get the elements. We get the dungeon item, we get the element. That's the main gist of what we're going to be doing in every single dungeon in this this category. So, let us get a map for Cave of Flames, just to see where we are and where we want to go. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so we are located here at the moment. We want to get to this chest here. So you can see, like, we can go out of bounds here and then kind of like walk over to here and get to this room over here like this. But so what we're actually going to do, just to make sure that we're at the right point and not to take a while doing this, from this spot here we're going to walk out of bounds to this spot, like over here. We're going to roll several times to the left so that we're at in this room kind of like looks like this. We're going to get to the left hand edge of this screen here. We're going to roll up 4 times or so. We're actually, like, the very edge of the screen is actually located here. This is like where my mouse cursor is here. This line here. This is the edge of the screen. So this is where the screen transition happens, and it extends all the way up to this spot here. So we can go off screen here, And we're going to roll up to here. And because we're still loaded in this room and the left-hand edge of the screen transition is here, when we transition to the left here, touch the left-hand edge of the screen, it's going to put us into this spot right here. And I'm going to go through the steps of that now on in-game. So, we copy and paste tiles here, walk off screen. Going to do 7 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're just located off screen, just above us here. We're going to roll 4 times up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to hold like up, diagonal up left. I like to be just a little bit safe and make sure you go. You can't be too far up with this. We're going to pause buffer. We're going to put us here. You can just hold left. I like to hold up left so that, but you get positioned right here. Now we're gonna paste over here to break through into here, and we're gonna hop down. We're currently located on layer 2. We're on the upper layer. We want to hop down to the lower layer here in this fight. You want to make sure that you don't just delete all the floor here and just be on layer 2 up here. It's not going to be helpful. Now we're going to make use of tile cycling again, like we did in Minish Woods. We're going to copy. We're going to tile cycle from this wall all the way to a lava tile, and just like how we did with the Octo Rock battle, we're going to use lava to instantly drown the spiky chews that are going to be in this fight so that we don't need to kill them with the sword. If you ran any percent, you would know that you can use spin attack to do this fight pretty quickly, but we don't have spin attack right now, so this fight's going to be difficult. Lava strat is, I think it's beginner-ish friendly enough. So what you want to do is you want to copy a tile here with just A. You want to walk all the way to the left, like to roughly this spot here, and then you're going to release. What I'm looking for is there's this diagonal beam here. You want to be on this like little black pixel on this diagonal beam, like the diagonal beam that's facing this way. This is roughly where you are. So you're either going to get these fence tiles with the little stone fences. This means that you didn't go far enough to the left. So yeah, we were like 3 tiles too short. So you can just go one at a time until you get a lava tile. And the other tiles that you're likely to see is these tiles like that. They look like whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. Oh, okay, never mind. Let's just do that again. Okay, so we're gonna be here. We're gonna walk to the left to roughly here. Let go. Okay, we're too far to the right, so we're gonna do one more. Nope, one more. Okay, there's the lava tile. Right now, where do we want to put the where do you want to put the lava tiles? So these are. You want to put them on the spots that the chews are going to appear at the beginning of the fight. Now, I've got an image of it somewhere, and when you're practicing this, like, the best thing to do is just, like, go onto the leaderboards, look at someone's run, jump to this point in. You can either look at any of the top 3 does this. Just jump to that point in the run. Go to the point where you can see where the tiles look like, and okay, so yeah, I've just got Aradna's run here. Let's just view this like so. Here we got Aradna's run. So this is the tile patterns. You're basically just using A and R, and you're just pasting them one at a time around in this room like so. And this is the pattern that you're looking at. So when you paste over the initial tile here, you just face to the right, put down one tile, then you're going to walk and you're going to look at this box here. This box here, you want to put a lava tile on every one of these corners. So the way we're going to start is we're going to put it on this corner first. Put it on that corner. Then you're going to walk, you're going to copy that and put it onto this spot here. And then you're going to put it on this corner here, and then you're going to walk down diagonally like so. This, the way you remember this is it's like a knight's move in chess. It's one to the side and two across. Or like so just imagine it like a knight's move in chess. Except for this one here, we put it over directly on the corner of this box here. One in the middle and one on the top hand side of the corner, like so. So let's get back into game and show that off. It forms a large D. Okay, so yeah, we just A and R. Don't use B. You do not want to use B because you're going to paste lava tiles around you and you're going to get fucked. So do not press B at all in this room when you're doing this strat. So yeah, just A and R to copy that, like so. Paste to there, paste to there, 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 and there. Now, depending on how brave you are and how confident you are at this, you can choose to activate the fire at any point by getting towards the middle of this area. If you walk around the edge like I did here, you're not going to trigger the fight. You need to trigger the fight by walking on this central section here. Like, so you can do it, like, you can trigger it from, like, this spot, like, as you're putting down these tiles here so that you can finish it up, or if you're more brave, you can do it from, like, down here. But yeah, ideally, that's what the fight's gonna look like. They just instantly drop into the lava and die straight away. That's pretty fun. And bam, we got the cane. Now we're gonna go to Glee Rock. So we're gonna transition, we're gonna just walk through this doorway like so here. Now we want to go down this staircase over here, but we are going to just copy the tiles that are located here, and copy it over. Now, if we just hold A and B, A, B, and R like so, and get these black tiles are actually like really restricted because it's the tunnel. It's this tunnel, so we can't move up and down like so. So we're gonna get stuck in like this. And only be able to move sideways. So we don't want this tile. We want the tile that's one cycle to the left. So we're going to tap once to the left. And it's going to give us these tiles here. This tile is also a loading zone tile that we can copy over like this and transition through like that, and bam, skip the animation for the stair walk and appear here. Right. This room here is one to the left of the boss room. The pre-boss room is located in the room directly to the right of us here. So we're going to just roll to the right here. We're going to copy and paste these floor tiles here. We're going to walk up to underneath the R button here, like this. We're going to go to this spot here, and we're just going to make sure that we didn't delete. We do not want to delete the tiles that are located off screen to the right here, because we want to be able to touch them to screen transition. So we're going to touch them to screen transition here, and we transition to this spot here. This spot is pretty safe. Like you can see here as I walk up and down with Link, you can transition on any of these spots here to be pretty safe. If you go too low, there are these wall tiles here. You're going to get soft locked, and you aren't going to be able to break out from that spot. If you ever transition in the wrong spot and get stuck in the wall, the only thing you can do is save and quit and go back to the beginning of the dungeon. That's the general rule of if you ever get stuck and do something ever so slightly wrong, and you're completely stuck and you can't break out, you need to do a save and quit, go back to the beginning of the dungeon and play through again up to that point again. Okay. So now we want to go into Glee Rock. We are on layer 2 right now, so we need to copy a ledge tile to be able to hop down. So we're going to copy this wall and paste it down there, and we're going to just hop off the wall tile into the Glee Rock fight. Okay, Glee Rock, again, in the regular game is a really easy and simple fight. Firerod makes it even easier. We can just copy and paste with the regular tiles down. Hello? Interesting. You can copy and... Why is that happening? I'm so incredibly unlucky. Okay, so that's probably something I should point out. If you're walking diagonally with the Firerod, remember it's only pasting tiles up in the cardinal directions above, below, left, and right of you. So if you're walking diagonally, if you're aligned perfectly, you can skip the tile above and to the left of you, and diagonally transition to the tile to the diagonally from you. And you wouldn't have pasted over that tile at all. So, like what I was showing there, you'd walk diagonally, you just walk onto a lava tile and drown. That's really sucky and annoying to happen. You don't want it to happen. It's just pretty unfortunate if it does. There are points later in the run. I will point out ways of being able to avoid that in spots that we definitely don't want it to happen at all. So, anyway. So, yeah, now that we've pasted over the tiles like so to make the fight going to be a little bit easier, we're now going to equip cane and sword so that we can do the fight. Now you don't need to, because we pasted these tiles like so, we don't need to walk on Gleerock's neck to be able to get and damage its back. We can damage its back whilst the rock is still like in the air above, like as soon as we flip it over, and do damage much faster than we would normally in this fight. One of the things to point out is I hit a bit of fire and it spawned a heart. You don't really need to get hearts at all in this category at all. And the only thing that happens when you get a heart is it's going to give you a text box, which loses a couple of seconds. So you kind of do want to avoid slashing the fire in this fight and not spawning any hearts. You don't want them at all. Yeah, point of note, there are Gleerocks located on the walls in this fight. Please do mention it every single time you do this fight. Now, you see that white flash that happened there? That flash was really long. It was about a second longer than it normally is because Gleerock was facing up. And it also happens when Gleerock's facing left or right. That long white flash doesn't last as long if the Gleerock's facing down. You can save about a second if Gleerock's facing down instead. But it's not too much time loss. It's a second. It doesn't matter too much. But yeah, that is Cave of Flames. Right, we're going to grab the heart container and we're going to leave the dungeon. Now that we've done Cave of Flames, we're going to go into Malari's mines again, and we're going to upgrade our sword to the green sword. We're going to sorry. You want to, on that menu there, you want to equip sword and Firerod. And you're going to Firerod through there, so you don't need to hop down. And then you're going to shrink. This is one of the only cutscenes that you just have to sit and wait through. Unfortunately, there's no faster way of getting into Malari's mines than just watching this cutscene. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, Kato is right. It's Firerod and Gustjar. You don't want the sword yet. What we're going to do after upgrading our sword is we're going to go directly to the bow, which is an interesting thing that you would do right now. It's kind of a little bit unintuitive, but we can get to the bow very quickly from where we are. But the next item we're going to use is the Gustjar, so you want Firerod and Gustjar here. When you're in here, you're going to paste over the wall tiles here so we can just roll through like so. Don't mess up like I did in my PB and somehow get locked inside of a wall and get up onto layer 2. That really sucks. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to, like that we did earlier here, we're just going to paste over that tile alone. Now, as Dreamy mentioned, if you paste over this tile as well, you can't transition up into here like so. What you need to do is you need to copy a regular wall tile, put it over there again so that you're walking against a wall like that, and then be able to transition up. So if you're trying to get up and it doesn't work like that, do what I did there to be able to break out. So now we have the... we want to get to the bow fight. There is a more complicated strat that people are going to start doing here. I'm not going to demonstrate it. It's really tricky. I'm going to do the safe and easy strat here. So the safe and easy strat here is we're going to use the Firerod to walk off screen to the left hand side here. We're going to roll down 5 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, and touch the bottom screen transition. It's going to put us down into the next lower bit of section of Mount Cranel here. And you use the Firerod to avoid having to jump down and go through all of these walls here. We're going to go over to this part of the area here. So there are the this tree here. We want to be... get lost. Oh my god, please dude, don't. You want to be here and you want to copy a regular tile like so. Brushing against, like, located on these tiles here on the left hand edge of this tree. And you want to delete up to here. You don't want to delete any lower than this. You don't want to delete the tile that that is located off screen here, because you want to be able to touch it to get to screen transition. This is the one tile that works. You can be one tile to the right, but this is ideally where you want to be. So when you screen transition, you roll down and land here. If you screen transition too far left, you roll down and you get soft locked here because you don't land here. When you touch here, it's going to respawn you at the start and you get soft locked into this rolling animation on this wall here. And the only way out is saving and quitting, and it will put you back at when you turned Minish, and you'll be able to grow Minish again. So we roll down to the spot here, and we're going to use the Gust Jar on this tile here to unveil this Minish tile here. So this Minish tile here, we want to get into this cave, but we can't get into this cave because we're not Minish sized when we're touching this specific tile here. However, we can get into some certain other loading zones that normally are restricted to Minish size, like up here. So we can enter this this cave here whilst regular sized, because this isn't a crack, this is a, like, stuck inside of a wall. So the game doesn't, certain transitions the game wants to distinguish, you have to be Minish size before the condition to transition you into this room. That's not present here on this one, so we're going to abuse this here. So we're going to paste over like so and walk onto this tile. It's going to put us inside this cave. We're just going to walk out of this cave and bam, we're Minish sized and we didn't need to shrink. You know, I haven't thought to actually unveil the Minish portal here and shrink normally. I haven't considered that an option. We should probably time that. I doubt it's faster, but I've just realised that's probably something that we can do. But yeah, now we're going to go into this cave here. Why do we want to go into this Minish hole? We're going to the bow, right? So this is a Minish hole. All of the Minish holes in this game are all connected together. And the Minish hole in Castle Wilds that we get the bow from is in the same area, it's connected together. Is actually like 3 rooms to the right. So we're going to transition to the right. Now, there's 2 options of what you can do when you're here. You can do a wraparound screen transition. We're going to go off screen to the left like so. And you would turn around and touch the side of the screen whilst you're off screen there to transition to the right. That's the safe way. The riskier way is we need to do, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the run when we went to Hyrule Castle, soft lock prevention. If we delete tiles up to the edge of the screen transition, but make sure that there's a wall here with a right angle corner like so. We brush against this corner like so, like that. That's going to make sure that we don't soft lock when, like, we're on some tiles right now, but ideally, if we keep holding right, it's going to do a double screen transition when we do soft lock prevention. This is faster than just doing the wraparound screen transition, because with the wraparound screen transition, you transition into that room, but then have to roll all the way through the room to hit the right hand edge of the screen transition to transition into this room. Whereas doing it this way, we get like a double screen transition instantly, and we move 2 screens over. And now we want to move another screen over. So we're going to do 4 rolls to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to get Link to the side of the screen. Now, this room here, this is where the bow fight is located. So here we want to do 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. We don't do a 4th because it will make us too close to the screen transition. If you do 4 to the right, there's a risk that you'll touch the screen transition, you'll transition past this room to the next room along. That's really bad. You can't go to the left in this game. For some bizarre reason, when you do wraparound screen transitions, they only work from left to right. They don't work from right to left. Really weird quirk. Don't exactly know why that's the case. That's just how the game works. So now we're just off screen to the left here. Link is located just above my head. We're going to do A, B, and R to copy and paste tiles down here. We're going to walk onto the screen here. As soon as we enter the bounds of the room, as soon as we pass this edge here, all the enemies are going to spawn in the middle of this fight. So we want to equip the sword. And you can't see where you are now, but you would probably you would delete the tiles and roll to the middle of the room before you pause and equip the sword. So we're gonna get into the room, equip the sword, and try and kill all of the enemies whilst they're still clumped up together. So you roll to the middle of the room as quickly as possible with the sword and slash them. If they're all nice and clumped together, you can kill them very quickly like that. When you're used to this room in the other categories, when you enter this room normally, you fall down from the entrance. There's about half a second of you falling down where they have time to spread out and get out of the way. So we get a nice, faster fight in this category than we would in other categories because they're nice and clumped up together like so. But yeah, there's the bow. And now that we've got the bow, we want to do two more things. We want to get the portal to Palace of Winds. We want to be able to just use the portal to be able to get to the to Palace of Winds dungeon, and in order to do that, we need to have the kinstone, the red kinstone, that to be able to do the fusion with the guy in town, and also the fusion with the guy in town doesn't trigger unless you watch the hurdy-gurdy cutscene. And we're gonna do 2 things now to be able to do that. So we're gonna get the red kinstone right now. There is a red kinstone in a room that's very close to here, and it's actually it's located diagonally down to the left of the room that we're in right now. So we're gonna go and get that now. So what you want to do is you want to paste tiles like so. You want to delete tiles and walk down to this tile here, like so. You then walk 1 tile to the left, like this, and then release the Firerod. So you're in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Actually, no, you didn't need to be on the tile to the right of that, but I was just being safe. So you walk down to this spot right here. Now, we want to walk so that Link is just off the left-hand edge of the screen here. I'll leave his hand hanging onto the screen so you can see. You want to be holding down, so you're touching the bottom edge of the screen. There's still a wall there, so we can't walk down. But we're going to hold diagonal down left, and it's going to trigger the transition into this room like so. And now, Link is kind of stuck inside of a wall like so. But if we made sure that you walked down against the bottom hand edge of the screen and then shifted to be walking diagonal, you should be perfectly aligned here so that you're able to break out of this wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold left, we're going to hold B and R, and we're going to press A to be able to break out of this wall like so. If it doesn't work the first time, you release A and hold A again until you break out of the wall, like what just happened for me. You may have to do it multiple times because, again, Link's stuck inside of the wall. The game alternates 1 frame at a time from being allowed to use the Firerod to not being allowed to use the Firerod. So you just need to... it's a purely luck-based thing, but it shouldn't take too long. Now we just walk... copy and paste these black tiles to walk through that wall like so, and get the red kinstone that's located here. And now we're going to leave this cave. And this cave is actually the secret cave that's unlocked by a fusion that's right next to the bow fight. So we haven't gone that far at all. They happen to be right next to each other very nicely. Okay, so now we want to go to town to be able to do that fusion. So we're going to transition into this room here. We're going to do a wraparound screen transition off the top edge of the screen like so. To skip past that room. We're going to go and grow. And so now we want to leave Castle Wilds. We're going to do a wraparound screen transition in Castle Wilds. We're going to wrap around on the left-hand side of the screen to exit us over to Hyrule Field. Now, what is the position that we want to be here? I believe what you're looking at is this log here. I think you want to be on the tile above Link. One tile above the log, thank you, Dreamy. So we copy these tiles here. You walk so that Link is not just one tile off, but like further to the side. It's hard to tell where Link is exactly without because Link is off screen. But you want to walk a little bit further than just the edge of the screen. You want to go a little bit further over. You then roll down once. If you roll down and hit some... like here you can tell that Link is in... you can hear Link hits swamp water. You don't want to be in the swamp water, you want to be just above the swamp water. So there's swamp water, go up, and you're out of the swamp water. So you can hear Link going in and out. And you can see the screen moving. The speed that the screen moves changes because you walk slower in the swamp water. So if you're the tile just above the swamp water, you just walk to the right, and it puts you on this bridge here. Now, from this spot, we want to go to town. So we're going to copy and paste over the... You want to make sure that you're in the middle of this bridge here. If you're too high, you're like half on this tile here and you're going to copy this tile as bad. Or if you're half here, you're going to copy this tile as bad. So you want to make sure that you're perfectly in the middle of this bridge. Copy and paste like so. We're going to walk up to here. And we're going to do soft lock prevention on this corner here. And touching, don't delete above here. We're going to touch this screen transition and do a soft lock prevention here on this corner here. So soft lock prevention like so, and bam, we're stuck inside of a wall like so. Make sure that you're facing up, hold B and R, tap A until it works, and we are able to walk free. We're going to walk off screen to the left like so, roll up. So now Link is located just to the left of like where the mouse cursor is here. He's just located here. There are the transition tiles here. If we touch to the right here, it's going to put us into town like so. Now here, very, very quickly there, when you enter into town, you need to make sure that you hold right, you roll. It's very important that you do that. Because this guard's going to get in your way. If you don't do that immediately, as soon as you load into this room and the guard is blocking your way, you can't get past the guard, so you need to exit out to the left again to Hyrule Field, come back in, and then try and do it again. You enter the area, you're holding right, and you're just mashing R to wrong. And you break through into here. Okay, now we're going to be doing a strat called Hurdy-Gurdy Skip. Now, remember back in Minish Woods when we were fighting Ezelu, and we did a respawn where we drowned Link, and it close to the Ezelu fight, and it respawned Link the other side of the area, so we didn't have to do a lot of backtracking. We're going to do that with a very specific on a very specific spot here. So that we can transition, whilst the hurdy-gurdy cutscene's going on, we're going to be able to transition into this house here. This house is where the stranger's located, so we're going to be able to skip the second half of the hurdy-gurdy cutscene. Just watch the beginning to set the flag that we've got the bag and we can do fusions. So, how does this work? We're going to copy deep water tiles here. We're going to hold A and B. We're going to tap once to the right to get shallow water tiles, because remember, shallow water tiles is one to the right of deep water is one to the left of shallow water, they're next to each other. And copy this. We're going to walk over, you can walk from here, just walk diagonally down here. We're going to align Link with the left-hand edge of this house here. So Link is pushing through this, we're going to walk through and delete the left-hand edge of this house by walking directly under the left-hand edge of this house, like so. And we're going to now, what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you do not delete anything to the right of what we just deleted there. So you walk through like that exactly, and you don't delete any further to the right like so, because you don't want to delete this loading zone. It's going to be very important that we're going to use this loading zone in a bit. Now, what you want to do is you want to copy a regular floor tile and paste it here. It's directly to the left of this door, like so. You're going to touch it. Now, this records. This is going to be the last recorded safe tile that Link has stood on. So, we want to make sure that we're only touching shallow water tiles from this point on. And it's going to make sure that Link, when we respawn, we're going to respawn exactly to that tile, which is right next to the loading zone transition. And you're going to see later as we do the cutscene, it's going to push us into the loading zone. So we're going to copy these shallow water tiles again. Now we're going to align on this NPC. We're going to walk into into the NPC here. We're going to hold down right, like so, and we're going to hold this all the way through until we hit the middle of here, like this. And then we're just going to walk directly down. Now, roughly here is the trigger to spawn Hurdy-Gurdy. So if you just copy and make sure you don't release the Firerod at all. I'm just waiting here to explain this. So you transition from holding diagonal to just hard down until you hit the trigger. As soon as you hit the trigger, Link's going to get an exclamation mark or like some trigger to indicate that we're in the cutscene. Whilst that's going on, we're going to release R and we're going to tap once to the left to change the tile that we've got copied from shallow water to deep water so that Link will drown. So we're going to do that here. So we're going to walk down, trigger the cutscene, tap once to the left, and it's a little bit precise. It's not too precise, but make sure that like as soon as Link gets the bling, you release R and tap left, and then it's going to drown Link. And if you did it perfectly, it's going to put Link on this tile here, and the Hurdy-Gurdy cutscene is now playing. So we're going to mash through this text box. Hurdy-Gurdy is supposedly directly above Link. He's going to give us the Kinstone bag now. And that sets the flag. That means that we can do fusions with people now. So now we want to just go into this house to be able to fuse with a stranger. So now he's going to explain how the fusion thing works. And he's going to give us a yes and no prompt. So you press yes. And after that, you want to make sure that you're holding upright. You want to be holding upright as that after that yes, no prompt. So that when that text box comes up, there's a what is happening right now is Hurdy-Gurdy is upset that you haven't fused with him to prove that you are capable of fusing. So now it's going to try and make Link walk over to where Hurdy-Gurdy is. Hurdy-Gurdy is located further to the right of Link, so it's going to make Link walk to the right. So we're going to keep holding upright, and it's going to clip Link into this into the wall when we close this text box here. So we're going to close this first text box here, holding upright, and Link should be able to walk direct, like clip a little bit. He walked a little bit like that into this wall, like so. And now there's going to be a second text box. And during the second text box, we want to make sure that we're just holding right. We're only holding right here as we close this text box. And then that pushes us into the loading zone, and we don't need to fuse with Hurdy-Gurdy, and we don't need to do a save and quits to be able to break out. We just transition straight into here, and that is Hurdy-Gurdy skip. So follow those. That's a fairly precise set of instructions, but if you follow them to the letter, then it's not too tricky. Okay, now we're in Stranger. We're gonna just fuse with him and give us the give him the red kinstone that we picked up. So just mash A and then mash that text box. Now we're going to exit out of this house. Whilst we're in town, there is another thing we want to do. We want to get spin attack, because that's another requirement for being able to beat the game. We got the bow earlier, and you may think, why do we need the bow? We're not actually going to go to Fortress at all, so we don't need it to kill Mazao. We need it to kill Vaati. Vaati is requires us to have the bow. It also required us to have the cane, as well as for fighting Gleerock, and we also need the Gust Jar for Vaati to kill the... in one part of the Vaati fight, and we also needed it to be able to get the Earth element in the first place as well. We also need spin attack so that we can make clones to be able to do parts of the Vaati fight. It's impossible to do certain parts of the Vaati fight without having clones. So we want to get spin attack, so we're going to go to the dojo to get that. So we're going to copy and paste regular floor tiles, walk diagonally over to the other side of the river, and then just roll down here. Now, we're going to go through the loading zone for the dojo from the backside. We're actually going to copy regular floor tiles here. We're going to walk not underneath this first set of tiles, but we're going to go directly under this like little pagoda bit of the building here. And we're going to release the Firerod, and then we're going to walk down. And it's going to... We entered into the loading zone for the dojo from the backside. You want to make sure that you don't delete too many tiles. Otherwise, you delete the loading zone and you can't enter the dojo. If you're too nervous and don't delete enough tiles, you try walking down, and it's like you're just hitting a wall. That's fine. You just face up and press AB to just paste more tiles around you. Just tap it so that you paste the tile to delete the wall that's below you, and then you walk down, and you'll enter the loading zone. Okay, so now we're in Swiftblade. We're going to learn sword spin attack. Now, what do we want to do after now? The next dungeon that we're going to do is going to be Temple of Droplets. That's located over in Lake Hyrule. To be able to get there quickly, we're going to go from... this house, so this dojo isn't in the same area list as the other dojos. This dojo is located in the wooden houses area list, and that the other wooden houses are Lon Lon Ranch, which is right next to Lake Hyrule. So we're going to do a transition to the right here. It's going to put us in Lon Lon Ranch, and we're going to be able to go to Lake Hyrule much faster by going through that transition. So we're going to use spin attack, walk diagonally down to the bottom right-hand corner of the dojo, whilst we have to demonstrate the spin attack that we've learnt it. Now, we walk to the bottom edge of the screen, face to the side, copy and paste regular floor tiles, walk to the edge here. Again, soft lock prevention, we're going to walk against this corner here, brush against the corner to be able to transition it into here, hold down to exit out into Lon Lon Ranch. And now we're just going to walk over to Lake Hyrule by walking through walls. So we're going to copy and paste over these floor tiles to delete the fences, roll a couple of times to the side, roll up through here, copy and paste these shallow water tiles to paste over this wall here so we don't need to walk around there, and then transition into Lake Hyrule here. I'm going to roll up and to the side a few times over to this spot here, and then we're just going to paste over regular floor tiles over the water and the walls here to be able to enter into Temple of Droplets. Okay, and just like all of the previous dungeons, we are going to walk directly to the dungeon item, which is the lantern. We need the lantern. We're going to go get the lantern, then we're going to go directly into the boss fight. So, let's... I'll bring up a map of Temple of Droplets. Oh, whoops, I did not mean to do that. Let's go back into Temple of Droplets. I'll bring up a map of Temple of Droplets so that we can see where we're going. Where is it? Okay, right, here is Temple of Droplets. Here's where we entered in. Now, the Bluetooth fight is located down here. This is where the Blue Chew fight is, and that is where the lantern is located. You can see that Octo is in the room right next to it, so we're going to make use of that the rooms are right next to each other to go directly from one into the other. Now, but the first thing is that we need to go from the entrance where we are into the Blue Chew fight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go we're going to stay on layer 2 here. We're not going to go down this staircase here. We're going to stay on layer 2 to go onto this wall here. We're going to go down to the bottom edge of the screen that's located here. We're going to delete the loadings, the wall that's located here to go off screen down. We're going to roll down 8 times. That's going to bring us all the way to this spot here. And then we're going to transition to the right, and it's going to put us on layer 2 in this room here. And then from here, we can just go like a bit down right here, and then transition in roughly this spot here to transition into the Blue Chew fight, and it will just roll us down this wall here and down onto layer 1. So things that we want to make sure that we avoid is we don't want to be too high, because there's some walls here, and we would, if we transition like here, we're going to get stuck inside these walls, which we don't want. We want to transition roughly where these pots are here. And it's hard to tell because we're doing rolls down, but if you count your rolls and make sure that you're doing perfectly decent rolls, you should always land in the same spot here. And again, we're going to make sure that we don't transition. We want to do like a roll to the right before going down, because if you go down straight away, you're going to get stuck in these walls here. You don't want to do like 2 rolls and go too far, because you're going to get stuck on these walls here. This is the safe section here that we want to land in. Alright, so let's go in game and demonstrate that now. So we're going to go over to the right here. We're on layer 2 right now. We're above all of this floor here. So we're going to paste over the floor, the wall here. And then we're going to do, from roughly here, you want to be able to see where Link is whilst you're here. But it's not like ultra precise or anything. You want to be seeing Link just going off screen as you do your first roll. And then we're going to count 8 rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to go to the right. And that puts Link here. And if your rolls are semi-decent at all, the worse your rolls are, or the more spaced out the time is between you pressing R between your rolls, the further down you're going to go, because the further distance Link's going to walk a little bit between each roll, so you're going to go further and further down. And it's fine if you transition a little bit further down, but yeah, you're roughly aiming for anywhere here. And then from here, we're going to roll to the right, and pretty much anywhere between these 2 bits of ice here, you want to just transition down, and it's going to put you here. That's very safe to transition anywhere in between those 2 bits of ice. So now we're going to roll down here. We're going to be in the middle of this arena here, roughly where this dark patch on the ground is. We're going to use the Firerod here. And we're going to paste the tiles there. Is that correct here? Is that the right spot? I think that is. Yeah, I would say that's right. So you're going to delete the tiles so that we have exposed the left-hand edge of the screen transition like so. We're going to roll over here and we're going to activate the Chew fight. So Blue Chew is virtually identical to Green Chew. We're going to do exactly the same strat here. We're going to make a little nook for Link to hang out in, and Blue Chew's not going to be able to touch us. It becomes a very easy fight. So we're going to hold B and R. We're going to walk to the left, paste some tiles around to delete the tile that's below Link so that he's able to stand here. We're going to equip the Gust Jar and the sword. And stand here and use the Gust Jar. You want to make sure that you don't delete any more tiles than what I've deleted here, otherwise the Blue Chew will be able to attack you. Cool. So he's going to wobble, and he's going to land, and then we're going to slash him. Again, this fight's very easy. You just stay in this hole and you keep using the Gust Jar as whilst he's upright. Whilst he's electrified, you can't do anything to him. And then when he starts wobbling, you just sword slash to kill him when he's on the ground. And then when he gets up again, you just use the Gust Jar. 1. This is the last cycle. 2, 3, 4, and then on the 5th jump, we roll through him and then use the Gust Jar from the top. We do that to make sure that we're not stuck in the corner as when he dies on that last cycle, because we want to be in front of this chest so that we can get the lantern straight away, and we don't want to be stuck at the bottom and have to walk up after the fight. So yeah, we can just get the lantern straight away and then just screen transition over, and bam, we're into Octo. The Octo fight, we don't have a shield. There's multiple things that are going to make the Octo fight in this category way worse than in other categories, unfortunately. One of the things is we don't have a shield, so you need to mash sword to be able to deflect the rocks back to Octo, which is a bit annoying. You can get a little bit unlucky if you're bad with your timing on your sword, and the rock will just hit Link instead of hitting the sword, and that sucks. It's awful when that happens. The other thing is, we can't do an RNG manipulation to make sure that the final cycle gives us 0 ink, which means that in the very final phase of this fight, there is pure RNG for 3 different situations. You either get 0 ink, where you get the fastest time possible, you get 1 ink, which loses you 30 seconds, or you get 2 ink, which loses you a whole minute. So you can lose up to a minute just to pure RNG that was outside of your control in this fight, and that's something we just can't avoid. Okay, so let's go into how the fight works here. So, when the fight starts, we're going to just mash sword directly in front of Octo. Don't move to the side at all. Just standing directly in front of Octo. Now, when we fire that 3rd rock back, Octo's going to start freezing here. Now we're going to equip the Firerod and the Lantern. We're going to walk over to the left here. We're going to stand over to the left here to get Octo to spin. And then we're going to light its tail. Now, whilst the tail is lit, we're going to build our fighting arena for Octo to make this fight easy. So we're going to break out of here like so. And it's very important here, you do not touch this top edge of the screen. Otherwise, you will exit this room, and you will lose all progress you've made so far in the fight. It will transition you into the next room. You're not going to softlock or anything, you're just going to be in the room above, and you'll be able to walk down to enter back into this room. But you need to watch that whole cutscene again and do that first stage again, which you don't want to happen. So we're going to enter into this little area here. We're going to copy these floor tiles, and we're going to delete all of the loading zone tiles here, because we do not want to accidentally touch them. So we're just going to do this to walk off screen here, and we're just deleting all these loading zone tiles like so. Right, now that we've used the fire rods to delete those loading zone tiles, and Octo's been running around doing its thing whilst we've been waiting, we're going to equip the sword and the lantern at the same time. And we're going to stay... when we were deleting the loading zone tiles, we want to make sure that we weren't touching these walls at all. One of the things that you kind of want to do is you want to make sure that you do delete these pillars here. You just want to have this wall here that is your barrier between Octo and you. Why do we want that? So that when Octo does its suck animation here, you don't get sucked up, you just get blocked by this wall. Now, when you get sucked up by Octo, it puts you like halfway inside of the wall. You want to make sure that you do like a little jig with Link. You just want to touch the direction buttons a bit to break Link out of the wall so that he's stood up here again. So you want to make sure that you're properly behind this wall when Octo starts shooting its rocks. So yeah, we can just mash our sword here to deflect the rocks back. And this is how we're going to do the rest of the fight. We're just going to stay behind here and just not get sucked up and deflect the rocks back at every opportunity. So this is phase 2 of the fight, where Octo's in a scripted pattern where it does suck rock, which we've seen so far. It's going to do another suck and then 2 more rocks. And if we do that perfectly, it's going to end this section of the fight. So here's going to suck us up, break out this wall, smash sword, and mash sword again for the second rock. Right, now we're approaching the final phase of the fight. We're going to light its tail again. We're gonna go and stand. Just get bodied by Octo there. Thanks. We're gonna go and stand. Where should we stand? I think here's the safe place to stand. Pog, let's fucking go. And that is ideally how the fight's supposed to go. We got really lucky there. We got 0 ink. But yeah, basically 2 things can happen there. Either Octo just fires 3 rocks in a row, like we got there, or Octo does a suck attack, fires a rock, and then shoots out ink. It's not always 0 ink in Firerod. I don't know how I got 0 ink 3 times in a row today. This is actually incredible odds. But yeah, that's the fight over. Pretty much just stay in that little nook there where I was until you get 3 triple rocks. When you get triple rocks like I got there, you want to quickly run out from behind the wall that you're located, like I did there, and just watch the recording back and see what I did, because I had to act quicker than I could explain. But yeah, knock those 3 rocks back to kill Octo, and get to the middle of this area so that Link doesn't get a slow walking animation like this. And that's Temple of Droplets done. That's the water element. Okay, so we got 2 more dungeons. We got Palace of Winds, and then we're going to go to Dark Hyrule Castle. But first, before we go to Palace of Winds, we're going to have to upgrade our swords. So we're going to get the heart container there to go back up to full health. I'm going to get an Eslo trigger after killing Octo. Gonna equip the Firerod and the sword. Yes, Firerod and sword. And we're going to exit Temple of Droplets. We're going to get a cutscene here. So, the Ghost King's going to tell us to go to the graveyard. This is very much not what we're going to do. Okay, mash A on these maps to get out of that. Okay, right, so here we're going to copy... You want to make sure that you're facing either left or right to copy shallow water tiles. I'm going to walk down... we want to go to the castle now to upgrade our sword. And if you remember, at the very beginning of the run, the castle... actually, no, never mind. But yeah, so like what we did with the dojo back in town, we're going to enter through the loading zone of this tree through the backside. So we're going to delete the tiles here so that we are able to go down into the tree. Like here, I haven't deleted enough tiles so that when I try and go down, there's a wall in the way. So I'm just going to face up, tap A, B, and R, and then walk down again. And it's going to put us into, we're going to be able to walk down into the loading zone. Okay, so this tree that we're located at right now, this is the same tree that we were at really, like, ages earlier in the run, but that doesn't matter too much. What we're going to do here is we're going to do 2 screen transitions to the right before exiting out. And that's going to put us at the trees that are outside Hyrule Castle. So let's do that here. We're going to do... And we're going to make use of softlock prevention, touching the right-hand side of the edge of the screen, and we're going to get a double screen transition to enter into... to do two screen transitions over. So yeah, we paste the tiles over here to expose the edge of the screen like so. Have a corner here, which we're going to brush against like so. To do softlock prevention, we get double screen transition by holding right the whole time. And you notice the ladders change from staircases to a proper ladder when you... This is the first screen that we get a ladder here is what we want to see. We just hold down, and it exits us here into the middle of Hyrule, North Hyrule Field. Just roll to the right and roll up, and we're going to just go into the castle. So we just roll up through here. There's an Eslo trigger here. You can avoid the Eslo trigger, but it doesn't matter because when we exit the castle a bit later, we're going to hit this trigger anyway, so it doesn't matter if we do it now or later. Now we're going to enter into the castle. Roll up here to the middle of, like, past the top set of pillars here. I'm going to paste, copy, use the Firerod here, A, B, and R. Walk to the left, and then to delete these this wall here, and then roll to the left here to get in front of the staircase. Now, Now we're going to do tile cycling on these staircases to avoid the slow stair walking animation. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand in front of the staircase, we're going to hold A, B to copy and paste these tiles around. We're going to tap right twice, 1, 2, and it's going to change it from the staircase tile to a regular straight transition tile. And we're going to walk up into the transition like so, and it instantly spawns us in here, and we avoid the stair walking animation. And then we just roll round through to this spot here, roll up through here to enter the sanctuary. We're going to roll up into the sanctuary. There was an Eslo trigger there that you can't avoid. We're going to roll up into the sanctuary, and it's very important here. There's a very long cutscene, and the trigger is right here. It's like directly above us here, so we can't go any tiles further up than where we are here. Any further up, we're going to hit this trigger. It extends pretty far to the sides, but we're going to try and walk around it. So we're going to roll to the side here. We're going to copy and paste regular floor tiles. We're going to walk over to the left here until Link is in line with this wall here. So the furthest set of tiles over to the left here that Link can line up here. So you walk over to the left until you're lined up here, and then you walk up. Now the trigger ends right here, so you have to make sure that you really do like a 90-degree turn here and don't try and cut this corner too tight. Otherwise you'll hit the trigger and it will play the cutscene, which is really slow. So you walk up to here, and then you're going to do like 3 rolls up, 4 rolls up to this spot here. You're going to copy and paste these tiles here. I'm going to roll up to here. So again, the trigger extends really far up as well. The trigger is like up to here that we want to try and avoid. So yeah, don't try and walk directly to the pedestal from the side there. You want to do like this proper 90-degree turn to avoid this trigger. And yeah, we used a Firerod to walk underneath the floor here. And we've released the Firerod, roll to the right, and it's going to push us up onto layer 2 here. We're going to push up onto this high elevation area that we're on right now. And then roll over and then put the sword into the pedestal. And this is going to give us the red sword. So let's just skip through this cutscene here. After the white screen, we get a text box. Link's going to walk up to here, and there's going to be another text box. Right. So, to get the red sword like we have, all we need to do is have the green sword and have the first 2 elements. But we don't just have the first 2 elements, we have the first 3 elements, which means we can upgrade to the blue sword as well. So in order to be able to upgrade to the blue sword, we need to leave and re-enter the room. Every time you upgrade the sword, you need to leave and re-enter to be able to upgrade to the next sword up. So we're going to do that now. So we're going to just leave up to the top here and exit down like so. And we've reloaded the room. So now we're going to delete this. Yeah, so when we were here, we made sure just to delete these tiles here. And we're like on layer 2 here, so it makes it really easy to just walk past everything here. There's not going to be much in the way here. So yeah, when we enter back into this room, we do 2 rolls down here. I'm going to like face away from this wall, either up to or to the left. Just tap A and B to paste the tiles around like so. Just to be able to break back into here. When you delete these tiles here, you're going to start charging the sword. Because right now, there's an Eslo trigger in the way. That's telling Eslo telling you, hey, you need to... Did you read the thing properly? You need to be able to clone. So we need to demonstrate that we can clone before we are able to walk any further down in this room. So when we do the clone here, Eslo does another text box, and now we're able to roll down here to the pedestal. Because we reloaded the room, we can upgrade to the blue sword. Now, now that we got the blue sword, there's still that trigger at the bottom of the room that is going to make... that is going to be really slow if we go and trigger it. So we don't want to touch that loading zone at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a wraparound screen transition to exit to the room below us from the top. So we're going to use a Firerod to walk off screen, walk a little bit to the right, and go down. It's going to load this room here. Thing is, the room that's way further down is loaded at the moment. But we are, Link's coordinates are still like a whole sanctuary room further up. We're really high up. We need to actually get down to this room, walking through the void of off screen. So we're going to do 3 rolls down here. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to make Link visible here. If you walk to the side at all, or do like anything as soon as Link gets on screen, we get this really bugged screen view here. And if you try walking down, you can't walk down at all. There seems to be like a wall in the way or something. To be able to get through this wall, you can even just look at this wall, even though you wouldn't in any other part of the game. You just hold A and B, you just tap the Firerod, and you're able to walk through this wall like so. Now we're going to do like 7 rolls down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we are at the top of the room that we want to be in here. The only problem is we are on layer 2, and we want to go down onto layer 1, because that's the layer that the transition to leave this area is located. We can't just do a wraparound screen transition again from this room, because it's not a border transition to get down into the next room. There's a specific tile that you need to stand on that is an entrance tile to be able to get to the next room. So, you... when you're here, you just face away, tap the Firerod with A, B, and R, like so, to be able to delete this, like there's a block of tiles that are below you here. You want to delete these so that you're in this like little nook, like so. This unveils a ledge tile here so that you can hold down, and it will just hop Link down from layer 2 down to layer 1. And now you're on the floor. So now you can just exit out through here, just roll down through this here, touch this transition here to exit out to here. Okay, now we're going to be doing a lot of wraparound screen transitions from this point. We can X out this area with a wraparound screen transition without having to roll all the way down to the bottom of this room. We can just do a wraparound. Remember, we can always do wraparounds from top to bottom and from left to right, but we can't do them from bottom to top or from right to left. It's weird. It's just how the game works. Not really have a better explanation than that. It's just a rule that the game has. Okay, so now we're going to use. We're going to do another tile cycle here to get another loading zone tile, so that we don't need to watch the stair animation. So you again, same. We do A, B to copy the stair. 2 taps to the right, and then walk up. If you always build in the muscle memory to go in front of a staircase, hold AB, tap twice to the right and go up, it works on every single staircase in the game. Like what happened, like what I showed there, when I did 2 taps to the right, if I did 1 tap, it was the right tile that you could use to walk up, but the next tile over also works as well. Yeah, so from here we're going to be able to... You can just exit out the castle normally, or you can do a wraparound screen transition. They're both the same speed from this point, because we're kind of like the middle height-wise in this room, so it doesn't matter if you roll to the bottom of the room or roll to the top of the room. So you can roll to the top here and exit like so. Or when you're here, you can just do the inverse of this, where... you just roll down here. Whichever you find more comfortable. There's not any real timing difference between these. Right, so from here, we're going to do a bunch. We want to go to Palace. And Palace of Winds, there is a portal at Link's house, which takes us to the Wind Tribe, which is just before Palace of Winds. So we're going to go from the castle all the way to Link's house by just doing wraparound screen transitions to transition down and down. So we're going to go off screen, walk a little bit to the left, and touch the bottom here. And again, we're going to do the same thing here. It's very important that you don't go down at all in this room, because we've upgraded our sword. If we go any further down, we're going to trigger the Moblin fight here in the middle of North Hyrule Field, and it's also going to trigger the really long Vaati cutscene and stuff like that. That's super slow. We want to completely avoid that. So we're going to go up here off screen, a little bit to the left, go down. And same here, another wraparound screen transition. It's going to put us in the South Hyrule field outside Link's house. Now, at the beginning of the game, Zelda tells Link to follow her into the festival. We didn't do that, and the flag's not been set, so Zelda is again going to tell us, hey, follow me, and the camera's going to pan over to Zelda. And whilst that's happening, you do have a couple of, like, a half a second of control of Link as you load into this room. So on this white screen transition, you want to hold down and mash R. So, like so. And if you heard there, you heard the yeah of Link doing a roll. Link rolled down once before Zelda's cutscene interrupted us. And so we got a roll in whilst this cutscene is playing. Now we're going to hold B and mash through the this text box like so. And as the camera's panning up to Link, we still have control of Link, so we're just going to keep rolling. As soon as we close the text box, we start rolling down again. So roll down to here, and then roll right into this loading zone. Now, the Wind Tribe, you would normally climb up through the stairs of the Wind Tribe. All of the Wind Tribe floors are located right next to each other. All, like, from the bottom floor is on the far left, and as you go further to the right, you go up and up through the floors. So we can just keep on walking to the right, and it will just put us through all of the floors. Now, what you want to make sure to do not touch up or down at all when you load it into this room. All you want to do, after Link loads in, is hold A, B, and R, walk right to expose the right-hand edge of the screen. Do not delete the screen transition. And then touch the screen transition like so. And then we get a double screen transition. We the pixel, like the position that we spawn in this room is perfect so that we don't soft lock at all inside the wall, and we get a double screen transition, which is super handy. And now we're like on the left-hand side of the edge of we're off screen. We need to do like 4 rolls, 1, 2, 3, 4 to touch the edge of the screen and load the next room over. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we are in the furthest room over. We can't transition any rooms further over. So now we're going to use the Firerod. We're off now that I've used the Firerod. The camera snaps to like the correct position. So this is the true view of where Link actually is. We're going to walk into bounds and roll over to here. Now, we could just copy and paste tiles here and walk past Haley and go directly upstairs and go into Palace of Winds. The issue with that is that after we've beaten Palace of Winds, the only way out is by going back down these stairs into here. And unfortunately, that soft locks us because Haley is in the way here and is not going to let us transition. Like Link is going to be stuck in a walking animation, is going to be soft locked, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we need to make sure that Haley's moved out of the way, and in order to do that, we need to set the flags for doing that. So when we enter this room, we roll to the right and we talk to the old lady here. She has a really long text box, so you just mash here for a while. It always goes longer than you think it's going to go on for. And then we go roll left, roll down twice. And when you're in here, you want to copy these tiles that are underneath here, because these are loading zone tiles. So copy and paste these, and copy it like so. So you're stood on this tile that's to the left of the loading zone here. Do not enter this loading zone tile yet, otherwise you will have soft locked your game effectively. You will not be able to progress if you transition to the left here. Go down and talk to Haley. When you talk to her, she moves out of the way after you've mashed the text box. And then whilst she's moving, just hold up right and you'll transition up into here. So it's very important you make sure you move Haley out of the way before you come up into here. Now you can just copy and paste these tiles and just walk through the wall here to get up into this dungeon here. Okay, Palace of Winds. Palace of Winds is a very cool dungeon. It's nothing like any other... Whoops, I did not mean to do that. It's not like any other dungeon. So, I don't think the map view is particularly helpful. I guess the map view is helpful on this first floor, but on the other, it might not be that helpful on other floors. But we'll, I'll bring it up so that we can go through it. Okay, I'll go one floor at a time. So, let's go to here. Okay, so here's the entrance of Palace of Winds. This is the room that we're in at the moment. Where we want to go to is we just want to hit. We want to hit. We're at the very bottom of the dungeon. We're on the ground floor of the dungeon. The boss is on the 5th floor. Now, what you would normally do in a regular playthrough of this dungeon is you would go and get the cape, and this dungeon is going to be different to every other dungeon where we don't actually need the cape. The cape would help a little bit on Georg, the boss of this dungeon, but it's so slow to do the fight to get the cape that it's faster to just skip it and just do the fight without the cape. So we're going to do the rest of this game without the cape because the Firerod is that broken. So we just want to go directly to the boss. The boss is on the 5th floor of this dungeon. The fastest way to go floor to floor is to go directly to staircase, like spiral staircases. There's a spiral staircase located right here, so we want to go from here to the spiral staircase. And we're going to go off screen by doing that. So we're going to walk over to this position here. The room is like located is like this, where the edge of the screen is here. So we're going to go off screen here. We're going to do 6 rolls up, and we're going to do 6 rolls left. And that's going to put us, is going to transition us, because the left-hand edge of the screen is here. If you go up from this point here, the left-hand edge of the screen when we transition is going to put us on this spot here. And then from here, we're going to be able to go into this staircase. So let's go and demonstrate that now here. So when you first jump into this dungeon, there's a trigger here with an Eslo trigger, so you just mash B and then you hold B and mash text box directions to mash through the text box. So from here, we use the Firerod to walk off screen. Then we're going to do 6 rolls up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to do 6 rolls to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you just hold left. And then as soon as the screen goes to black, just mash start. And then you're going to put Link here. Now, you notice where Link arrived here, directly below this skull. If your rolls are too bad when you're rolling up, if your 6 rolls up are poor, you probably want to diagonally walk down left a little bit before you do your 6 rolls left. Like, just do an ever so slight down left walk before you, but yeah, it's 6 rolls up, 6 rolls left, and then you should land here. You really don't want to get stuck inside any of these walls here, which can happen if your rolls are too bad. But if your rolls are good, you're pretty much always going to land here. Now, there's a big Eslo trigger here, which we're going to avoid by going above this middle pillar here. We're going to roll to the left here, and then roll over to here. Now, we're going to do tile cycling here on the staircase. 1, 2. And transition up through here. The next staircase is located 2 rooms to the right here, so it's very easy. We're just going to do it like it's easy to remember this floor and the next floor is we do like a zigzag pattern. We go 2 rooms to the right, and then we're going to on the next floor we're going to go 2 rooms to the left. So okay, so we're going to transition. We're going to use the Firerod up to this edge here. Do not delete to the left-hand edge transition here. We want to touch the screen transition here, like so. Transition into this room. 1, 2, 3, 4 rolls. Whilst we're up on layer 2, we can just walk over the top of all of these walls. And then to this room here. But we're on the wrong layer here. We're on layer 2. We want to lower ourselves down onto layer 1 so that we can interact with the staircase. You can either just hop down, you can walk and then hop down off of the doorway that's at the top of the staircase here. Or you face down, tap A, B, and or just AB or AB and R to put these ledge tiles around you, and then just walk to the right to hop down. If like what happened there when I was walking to the right, it didn't hop down immediately because I was too far down. If you walk up a little bit and then try and hop down, it will help. Then you can hop down like so. This Gibdo is right in the way. You do not want him to be in the way like that. If you do this room quickly, that Gibdo doesn't normally get in the way. That was really unfortunate for me. So from here, you just do another tile cycle. AB, 2 to the right, go up. And you transition up into this room. And now we're going to go back the other way. We're going to do 2 to the left here. So 1. And then another one over to the left here. So with a couple of rolls over to the left here, you're going to position yourself here. We're going to copy and paste tiles here. We're going to copy to here. And we're going to touch the left-hand screen transition. You want to make sure that you copy exactly to this spot and these tiles alone. If you stop using the Firerod too early, you're going to raise yourself up onto layer 2. And it's going to be a little bit slow because when on layer 2, you need to hop down to transition into the to be able to interact with the staircase in the next room over. If you use the Firerod too long and you delete this loading zone, that's bad. You then need to try and transition at a different spot. But yeah, if you hold left, if you use the Firerod perfectly like I demonstrated there, when you transition into this room, you roll down off of this wall down onto layer 1. Now we're on the bottom layer. And here we just do another tile cycle, 1, 2, and up here into here. Now, on this floor, we want to... Where is the floor that we're on here? We're on the 4th floor. We're right before the boss. So we want to go from here directly to a cloud that is located right before the boss. So, hang on, let me transition, turn this over here. Okay, so where we are right now is here. We're right here. Where we want to go to is this cloud staircase here. We want to touch the top of the screen here, and it's going to transition us up 1 floor right to before the boss. So what we're going to do is from this room, we're going to go up here to underneath this floor here, so it's going to push us up onto layer 2, and from layer 2 we're going to just be able to avoid all of the walls in this room, just roll over to this spot here. We're going to roll a bunch of times over to here, and then we're going to roll up here. Going to touch this screen transition here. It's going to put us into this room. We're going to roll down and land here. Going to roll up through here and use the Firerod to cut across here. Going to walk up through to this spot here. Okay, so let's show that off now. So from here, we get pushed up onto this layer. Bunch of rolls over to the right here. To roughly this spot here, just before this wall. Don't worry about the enemies, they can't interact with us because they're on the wrong layer. And yeah, we're going to roll up to here. Pretty much you can transition anywhere here, as long as you're not directly on here. You want to be like roughly in line with here, like this. This is the safe spot to fall down here, and you're gonna transition right here. And here you want to like mash roll to roll through this moblin so that it doesn't hurt you. You do want to be a bit careful about health here, because Georg is a pretty tricky boss fight, and you can take a lot of damage in it, and it's the one point in the run that you're pretty at risk of dying. The other point is in the Vaati Fights. The Vaati Fights are really tough, and this is why we've been collecting heart containers this whole time, because we want to make sure that we're not going to die in these last set of boss fights. So yeah, we're going to cut across here with the Firerod, like so. And from here, we're going to go in line with these clouds and just keep holding until we screen transition, like so. And now we're in the room right before the boss fight. The boss is in just further up from here. Okay, so this is a pretty tricky, tight trick. If you fail this, you're pretty much soft locked and have to restart the dungeon and do everything in the dungeon again up to this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the the wall tile below us, and then we're gonna walk up and like hop on the wall, and it's gonna make Link enter a rolling animation whilst we're holding the fire rod. And Link is gonna just roll through the boss door, and we want to release the fire rod so that we stop copying these wall tiles as we're rolling. Inside, like just past this boss door, so that we can enter the room above. Like, I'll demonstrate this now. So we copy these floor tiles like so. We hold up, and it's gonna get Link into a rolling animation like so. Link's gonna hop. It's gonna start rolling like this. And we want to delete up to here. From this point on, we want to release the fire rod. You want to make sure that the tile you're stopping at right just before the boss door. Don't stop too early. If you stop too early, then you're going to soft lock, and Link's going to roll into the boss door and keep soft locking. But here, we've deleted this first tile in front of the boss door, so that Link's going to roll past it and end up behind the boss door. Can I remove the layer here to be able to show? Okay, that's actually that's not very helpful at all. I can still show that off here. So yeah, we're going to roll through and land past the boss door here. And here we're underneath the boss. Like, we're behind the boss door right now. And this is where we want to land. So you've got like 2 tiles of leeway here that you can land. You could have used the fire rod a little bit longer than I did, and it will be fine. But not too much longer, because you don't want to delete you don't want to use the wall tiles all the way up to the edge of the screen and just be hitting the edge of the screen, and that is another way to soft lock. So you can soft lock by releasing too early or too late, but the window is pretty big. You don't have to worry about it too much, but just be aware. If you time it badly, what's going to happen is Link is going to be stuck in an infinite loop of rolling through here over and over again. That's a soft lock. You have to save and reset the game and go back to the beginning of the dungeon to be able to break out of here. Yeah. So this is where we are. We just screen transition up, and we can go through like so. The reason why we had to do that is we can't get off of the cloud that we're on, because we don't have the cape to jump, and the only tile that we have access to is a wall tile, so we have to roll with the wall and do that fancy strat like that. Okay, so now we just roll directly to the boss. And ideally, you should be on full health. If you've taken any damage, I guess you can break the skulls here. The skulls on the left, the far left and far right here have hearts, and also the 2 skulls located to the left of you at the when you entered through the boss door also have hearts. But yeah, now we're going to enter into Georg, which is a very tricky fight. I would say it's probably one of the most difficult fights that isn't RNG based in this run. So, what we're going to do is at the beginning of the fight, we're going to start charging the sword, and we're going to create clones. Now, you want to make sure you always create clones in this pattern, which is 2 on the right, and then 1 on the far left. And you want to make sure that this tile here is not touched. Like so. So, it's always in this pattern, like so. With this pattern, you can hit any eye pattern that you get on Georg. And then here, you just stand in this position here. What you want to do is you line up this top clone with the very center of the tiles, the eye tiles like this, and then just mash sword. You mash there until you kill all of the eyes. You walk down a bit until you see the blue Georg start walking towards you, and then you fall off. We fall off to spawn onto the back of the Georg. We don't have the cape to hop onto the Georg, so we have to fall off every time we want to get onto the blue Georg, except for the very final phase, which is pretty tricky, but we'll get onto that in a bit. So here, when you land on the blue Georg, you want to start charging your sword, and there's no real cue that you can use to determine when the eye is going to spawn. It's all going to come down to your internal like muscle memory of knowing how long this takes, and I really recommend having a save state at the beginning of this fight and practicing this fight a lot, because things will get very if you practice this boss fight enough times, the beginning of the boss fight becomes completely scripted. It's like exactly the same every single time with enough practice. So yeah, here we charge the sword and wait until the eye appears and then release sword. That was really unfortunate. We only managed to get one hit on this blue Georg. When the blue Georg eye appears, you need to do 4 slashes to kill it. A spin attack hit counts as 2 slashes, so when you do the spin, you want the spin to hit twice. So it goes bam bam and hits twice as it spins around. Unfortunately, with the position that it was in, it only hit once. So that's really unfortunate. Now, Georg's going to spin its tail around. One of the things that we can use the Firerod for is to be invulnerable to damage. Now, we didn't need to really mention it too much earlier, but if you hold A and R, Link is just invulnerable to damage. It's going to be pretty useful here and in the Vaati Fights. If you're on low health and make sure you don't want to die, you can use the Firerod to make sure that you don't take any damage. So here, we're going to use the Firerod there, and bam, we just like become invulnerable. Just hold A and R. Don't press anything else, just stand still and become invulnerable. So the arm doesn't hit you. Cool. Right, so yeah, if you hit the blue Georg eye with a spin attack and you got 2 hits and it just dies straight away, that's really handy, and you can start charging your spin attack. If what happened here with me, you did a spin attack and it only hit once, and you get this tail attack where it's not dead yet. Don't charge another sword attack. You want to mash your sword and get 2 hits in. Because it's 2 HP away from dying. So we get 2 slashes in. Now it's dead. Now that it's dead, and you know that you've killed this cycle, now you want to charge a spin attack. So you hold B to charge, and you want to start creating clones. When we get back onto the red Georg. To start the red Georg, we're going to make exactly the same pattern that we made earlier, just rotated 90 degrees. So these bottom 2 tiles here, like so, and this top one, like so. So it's the same clone pattern, it's just been rotated. And then we stand here and mash sword like that. Make sure it's really important that you keep your clones alive. So this Georg is going to be shooting these projectiles at you. If you practice this fight enough, and you make sure that you stand in the same spots every time, these orbs are going to fly at you in the same trajectory every single time you do this fight. So, they are going to be something that you're going to be able to predict. It's like, yeah, okay, so here's how we dodge it, like so, and you always know to be looking out for a projectile coming from a certain direction throughout this whole fight. So that first one comes like so. So you get a couple of slashes in, dodge it first time, mash a couple more times. And then the second one comes in right as the eyes go away, so that you don't need to dodge it until like you got your last set of hits in. Now, you do need to get a certain number of hits in onto Georg. I want to talk a bit about how Georg takes damage. Georg takes damage per eye. So when you're mashing with your clones, you want to maximize the number of eyes that you're hitting. Ideally, you're hitting all 8 eyes with every slash that you're doing. Georg won't take damage if you are hitting less than, I think it's 2 or less eyes. You need to hit at least 3, but hitting 3 is pretty bad. You want to be hitting like all 8. And the threshold for like each stage is like 32, or it's like 28 or 32 hits, which if you're hitting 8 at a time is pretty decent. 7 at a time again as well. It's like you hit 4 or 5 sets of slashes, which you can easily do if you're hitting lots of them. But if you're only hitting 2 at a time, you need to hit it like 12, 15 times or something like that, which is way more times than you can actually slash. So maximize the number of eyes that you're hitting with your slashes. Okay, so after that stage with the red Georg where you're hitting it as many times as you can, you walk down here, you're walking down here to bait in this third shot to be further down. As soon as it's fired, you start walking up so that the projectile is coming down here and avoiding you, and you're now free to hit these eyes as soon as they respawn, and that projectile's not going to be bothering you at all. Okay, so each of these red stages are going to come in two parts. So there was that first part, you did some damage, it closes its eyes, opens up again, second half of that stage. When you're in the second half, it doesn't matter about your clones. You can stay there and keep mashing the eyes to kill it. If there's a projectile coming towards you, it doesn't matter if you lose your clones, because you're going to kill it. Okay, so now you kill it, and it is doing all of its puffs of smoke. This blue Georg, if this blue Georg is spinning around, you want to fall off as quickly as possible. And you're going to respawn on the blue Georg's back. If the blue Georg is, like, moving, you want to wait for it to be moving in a straight line and then fall off. But, like, if it's like, you want to wait for it to start rotating. When it's rotating, that's when you want to fall off, because it will be stationary. So when you respawn on the blue Georg. If it's moving, you respawn on the blue Georg, and by the time the blue Georg has moved and you've respawned, the blue Georg's moved too far and you fall down again, and you just keep on falling and respawning. You want to minimize that if you can. Okay, so this is another repeat of the blue cycle. So here we're just going to charge our sword like so. And we're going to wait for the eye to appear, and then we're going to release the spin attack. And we got we got a double hit on that eye. That is ideally what you're looking for. You got the double hit. This blue Georg is dead. It already launched its tail strike on us, so we're going to hold A and R to become invulnerable, so it doesn't do any damage to us. And now this blue Georg's dead. We're going to return back to the red Georg. We want to start charging our sword. So we're going to charge a sword like so. This is the third red. The third red Georg is facing upright like this, and we're going to create our clones by when we come back towards the red Georg, we can walk off of the blue Georg onto it like so, and create our clones like so. Okay, you need to watch this blue Georg. This is the point where RNG starts coming into the fight. RNG was affecting the blue Georg before, but now it really affects how he moves here. So he's gonna, if he flies across like this, you need to make sure you dodge him. He could be off screen somewhere and like gives you free reign to just walk up to the eyes and start hitting him. You need to be aware of where the Georg might come in. He likes to swing through the top or the bottom of the red Georg, and it's just random which one he decides to do. So dodge them like that. Where is he going to come in? He came in the bottom. That's very nice for us. So we just make sure that we're dodging we're doing a bullet hell minigame, and we're dodging these projectiles as they're flying towards you. It's really scary, but just practice this fight and it becomes not too tricky. This is a part of the game that you're going to have to practice a lot for this category. So yeah, we dodged all of those, and we're just going to mash and kill the eyes like so. Now, this is one of the trickiest parts of this fight. The blue Georg is going to be swinging through, and this is going to be the last blue stage of the Georg. There's going to be one of its eyes is going to open up, and we need to kill it. Now, in all of the previous blue stages, we could fall off of the red Georg, and it would respawn us on the blue Georg. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen here. When we fall off, it's going to respawn us in the middle of the red Georg, so we can't land on the blue Georg by respawning. We're going to have to do something else. So there's a strat for getting onto the back of the blue Georg that we're going to use here. So what we're going to do is going to walk down to this spot here and stand here. The blue Georg is going to spin around, and we're going to use the Firerod here. We're just going to hold A and B to make sure that the guys go through us and don't take any damage from us. One tile to the right of here. I thought this works fine as well. Okay, we'll stand here. I practiced one to the left and it was working fine, but I guess you can stand here as well. Oh, you overwrite your own clone tile. Thank you. Okay, so that, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Dreamy. Stand here, because we're going to use the Firerod here, and we don't want to delete this tile. Which is going to be very handy. Yeah, okay, I was struggling with that in my runs. I was deleting this tile, and it was making clones in the very last cycle more awkward. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to hold A and B, with like so. Remember to use the we hold A to use the Firerod first, and then press B to start pasting tiles around us. Now, we're gonna... Blue Georg always does this exact same pattern at the beginning of this stage every time. Like, it spins around at the top of the red Georg, it goes off screen to the right, and it's gonna come from the right-hand side of the screen directly towards us. It's like coming directly in line to attack us from this position here. When it gets closer... we're gonna wait for it to get close. As soon as it like comes right up to Link, we're gonna hold left. Sorry, we're going to hold right. We're going to walk into the right, into the Georg here. Oh, fuck's sake. Oh, I did it too early there, didn't I? When do you need to start holding right? This trick is really tricky for me. Like, I'm struggling a lot with this. I've fucked up all of these tiles, so I need to paste regular tiles down again so it's all safe. Actually, no, hang on. Let me just load up my save state that I've got so I don't mess this up anymore. Okay. So here we're going to stand here. As the blue Georg is pushing you... Okay, you want to wait till Georg is actually hitting you and pushing you before you start holding to the side. Just don't be as eager as I was there. So hold like that. Okay. Right, I did that nearly perfectly, but I forgot the very last thing, which is... I'll do it in slow motion. Ah! Okay, so from here, walk a little bit further to the right. We're gonna hold A and B, like so. We're gonna let Georg push into us. We need to start being pushed, and then we can hold right. Walking, and then it will make us walk onto Georg, like this. The blue Georg. We want to make sure that we're right in the middle, and we hold R. And then we can release everything. And that's going to put us on the blue Georg's back. That's the... if you practice that, make sure you have a save state like I have right at this point, right before the blue Georg flies towards you so that you can practice this. And get the muscle memory in for this strat here, so that you can land on the back of the blue Georg. And then when you land on the back of the blue Georg, now you want to slash its eye as quickly as possible. And you just want to mash. Don't bother trying to do spin attacks. I practiced it a bit, and it's not worth it. Just keep mashing the eye. You can get 2 hits in if you like directly after doing the strat to land on its back. Kill any greens that coming towards you, and then mash sword again to kill it on its return back. As long as you hold R, you don't need to release right away. Okay, yeah. So don't be super eager to release right away. Just hold R. You can release right, but make sure you're holding A, B, and R on the back of the blue Georg, and then you're nice and safe. And then at your own time, you can just let go of the buttons and then start mashing sword on its eye. Okay, so now that we've killed the blue Georg, that's all of the blue Georgs dead. We're going to start charging sword, and we're going to walk up off of the blue Georg. Do not walk down to the right or to the left or anything like that. Something you need to remember as well. You know the tail is blowing up right now. the tail isn't disappearing. It's still there. It's just going invisible. So if you go down off of the Georg and it flies off, the tail is going to hit you and knock you off, and you don't want that to happen. So getting off the blue Georg, always walk up off the blue Georg. Like so. And we're charging spin attack now. Now we're going to do... We want to do one of two things with the spin attack. We're either going to make clones so that we can kill this last set of eyes, or if we got a favourable pattern on the eyes, we're going to use the spin attack to just kill the fight instantly. So we're going to avoid having to create clones and be able to damage the eye. So with the green Georgs coming towards you, you want to try and avoid them if possible by like standing in between them. Okay, perfect. We got a good pattern here. This pattern and the mirror image of this pattern are good patterns that you want to get. So either, so from this position, you want to align Link like how I have displayed here. And from this spot here, you want to get the tip of the sword aligned with the pupil. I kind of look at the black pixels of the pupil here to line up the sword like so. But yeah, from here, release spin attack and it'll hit all of the eyes and kill them all. If it's the mirror image of this pattern, where all three of the eyes are actually on the other side, so it's eye with the blank space here. Instead, what you want to do is, instead of lining the sword up with the pupil here, you line the sword up with this spot right in the middle of the eyes. There, so I'll go and stand here so you can see. This is the spot that you want to stand otherwise. This spot won't work for this pattern, and so you want to do it when you're doing the other pattern. But for this pattern, you want to stand here. If it's any other pattern, so if it's like eye, blank, eye, then you can't do this and you need to make clones. And the other way around, if it's eye, blank, eye, then you can't. If there's ever a blank gap between the eyes, that's what you're looking for. You want the eyes all together. This is the good pattern. And it's 50-50. It's a pure 50-50% chance of whether you get one or the other. So from this spot here, you just release spin, and it hits all of the eyes, and then you can just stand in the middle and mash in both directions to hit. As you're maximizing all of the eyes that you're hitting as much as possible to try and kill it as quickly as possible. And that is the end of the Georg fight. Really tricky. I recommend practicing that a lot. Okay, and that is this dungeon done. We're going to get the wind element, and now we can go to the final dungeon, Dark Horror Castle. Mash through the text box there. We're going to go and get this heart container and exit out. Okay, so remember we released Haley earlier to make her walk out the way so we can go into the backhand side of this loading zone here to transition through. Just use the Firerod to walk to the back of here. Touch the backhand side of the screen. Unfortunately, this is like the only spot in the game that we have to watch a stair walking animation, because there are no other loading zones tiles located in this area. That's literally the only one. There's no tile cycling that we can do to get a different tile. So you just need to touch the loading zone and there, and we get stair walking animation. And Haley's moved out of the way, so we're not soft locked. Cool. If you don't like tile cycling, you can just walk down the staircases normally. It's a little bit slow. But we can tile cycle in this room, but instead of... Like how I said before, on every staircase, if you just do 2 to the right and then walk up, it works. Fortunately, those tiles don't exist for this area, so we need to use a different tile. So you hold AB, and you want to do 11 to the left, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you get this tile. One more is also fine. This one's fine as well. That tile is not. This tile is. This tile is. So it's either one of these two. And then you just walk into the loading zone like so. Now, you don't want to tap slowly like I did with counting out loud. I was just doing that for demonstration. What you really want to do is something like this. So See, mashing to the side is quickly like that. I'm really bad at this. If you want a good demonstration of this, watch Dreamy's run on the leaderboards. She is very fast at mashing through to do tile cycling like so. So that's a good demonstration of how to do it quickly. And then from here, on this bottom floor where there's no other staircase, here we're just going to walk through this wall here and roll into this portal. Okay, so we're going to get the Zelda cutscene again. Zelda's like, hey, talk to us. Now, there's some really buggy behavior that goes on with the combination of us spawning in through the portal. There's a cutscene of Link spinning on the portal, and the cutscene of Zelda talking to us. So because of the mix of these two things, the game's really weird with how we're going to do another roll in this room. So I recommend just never rolling again in this room. But what we want to do now is we want to go to Hyrule Castle. And the fastest way of getting to Hyrule Castle from this spot is we're going to enter a cave that's right next to us. And that cave is going to get us into another cave near to Hyrule Castle. So here we hold B and mash through Zelda's text box. We're going to walk to the left. Link is like got a weird animation going on there. He was like changing the direction they was facing whilst he was walking. But we're going to use the Firerod here. Oh, not roll, because if you roll, like, as I demonstrated there, you don't roll in a set direction. Like, Link spins around as he rolls and changes direction. It's very weird. You don't want to roll. So when you just use the Firerod, you hold A, B, and R. Use the Firerod up to, like, this spot here. Release B, so you're just holding A and R. You want to walk up to this cave, like here, and then you want to release. Just holding up against with A and R, you release A and R, and it will make a loading zone. It will delete the wall, but then the wall will get instantly replaced with a loading zone tile. So we weren't pasting over the tile with we weren't pasting a loading zone over the transition. We were deleting the wall so that it spawned a loading zone in. It's a little bit tricky. It's not hard at all, just do exactly what I said there. So here we want to avoid these fairies. If you touch a fairy, it will give you a text box. It's a bit slow, you don't need it. You just picked up a heart container after Georg. But from here, we want to walk up to the left-hand edge of the screen here. We're going to copy and paste tiles here, walk off screen here. We're going to do 5 rolls up. Is it 5? Either 5 or 6, depending like on how many rolls, how good your rolls are. If your rolls are really bad, 5's fine. I think, actually, let's just go for 6. 6 is safe. So we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you just hold left. Pause buffer to load us into here. Okay, 6 is actually like really kind of risking it a bit. I'd say do 5. Do 5 to transition to this spot here. So this cave you may have not recognized ever. This is an unused cave, and the developers never just managed to put it, like, just like many things here in Firerod, we are making use of a lot of things that the developers never intended for the players to actually get interact with at all. So there's this unused cave here. Might have had a heart piece or something, but whatever. What happens when we go up this ladder? It exits us out into the courtyard here. So I guess they intended for that to be a room here in the courtyard with a ladder, but never implemented it further. But yeah, we're right outside the castle. Now we can go into the castle. So we're just going to go over to the side here, to the spot here, copy and paste here, walk over to here. Can you... Yeah, we can just like walk straight up through here. And now we're going to go to the sanctuary exactly the same way we went before. So I'll just gloss over it quickly. So just roll up here, copy and paste Firerod over like this, tile cycle, roll to the right, roll up through here, roll up through here. And now we're in here, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did before. We're going to roll up through here. Now remember, exactly the same as the first time we were in the sanctuary, the loading zone, the ESLO trigger for the cutscene is still here, so we need to avoid that. So we're going to walk over to the side here, we're going to go up and around here like this again, and through here. exactly the same as we did before. So he gets a nice amount of practice for doing that a second time. And now we're going to get the Four Sword. Right, Four Sword's going to give us another text box. We're going to get a cutscene play. After this cutscene, the camera pans up to the top, it's going to pan back down, and it's going to do another Eslo text box. Okay, now we want to exit out of the sanctuary, but again, loading the Eslo triggers down there. It's going to play a long cutscene we don't want to watch, so we're going to do a wraparound screen transition from the top end of this room. So we're going to come up to here. We're going to use the Firerod to walk around here. Going to walk a little bit to the right and go down. We're going to do 3 rolls down. 1, 2, 3. This is exactly the same movement that we did earlier in the run. Use the Firerod, and it's going to bug out the screen and do this. We're going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Use the Firerod again here to delete this tile here. Hop down here like so, and then roll down and out of the sanctuary like so. It's exactly the same as the movement that we did earlier in the run, so you just repeat it. But remember, you're just activating the pedestal once this time. Earlier we did it twice because we went to red sword, then blue sword, but here we're just going blue sword to four sword. Okay, now, the final dungeon, Hyrule Castle. Dark Hyrule Castle. Do I have... I do have maps for this. I don't know if the maps are actually accurate enough. I can see if it's useful. There's my Dark Hyrule Castle map. There it is. Is that a useful? No, it's not useful at all. Basically, the area that we're in right now is the same area as external to Hyrule Castle. Like, all of the outside sections of the castle is in the same area as where we're in right now. So the gliding sections that you normally do on the outside. We're going to go from this room to another one of the rooms that's in the outside section of Dark Hyrule Castle. By just walking to the right here. But we're going to transition up here, so... What we do when we enter this area here, we roll to the right here. We're going to face left and copy some tiles here. We're going to walk up and delete the left-hand edge of the screen so that we can walk out of bounds. From here, just as Link leaves the end of the screen, you want to roll, and we're going to count 6 rolls. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now with that 6th roll, we're going to roll up. So now we're really far off the screen, and we're going to go up and we're going to touch the top of the screen to transition us into another room. And the room that is put us into is here in Hyrule Castle. How useful is it going to be to have... God, the maps I have are really useless. There's no outside section of Hyrule Castle. So, like, the best way to describe how Hyrule Castle works is there are 4 towers in this dungeon, located in the 4 corners, so top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. We're going to go to the top right tower, and because we're on the like the very far right hand side of the dungeon, we're outside the dungeon on the right hand side. We're going to go directly up, and it's going to take us to the top right corner of this dungeon. And from there, we're going to go upstairs to the top floor. That top floor is where Vaati is located, and we're going to go directly to the Vaati fight. We're going to skip everything else in the dungeon and just go directly to Vaati. So from here, we're just going to use the Firerod to walk over all of this terrain here, like so. You can release the Firerod a little bit there, like here, you can use the Firerod up to here, roll here, and then be able to use the Firerod to walk through over the terrain here. And we're going to go up through this transition like so. We're going to use the Firerod to break through this wall here. Not get hit by the spark. If you go a reasonable speed instead of stopping like I am, the spark won't get in the way. But here we tile cycle, 1, 2, like so. And we're in the top right corner of the dungeon. Now, why do we want to come to this top right corner of the dungeon? Let me bring up the map for the dungeon so we can see where we are. Here we are. So this is the room that we're in right now, and this is accurate here. This layout for this top floor is accurate. This is the Vaati 1 and Darknut fight room. So we can transition to the we can go like off screen to the left here and touch the top end of the screen to like spawn to load into this room here and roll off this wall and be here. And then we're going to like on this map view, this staircase is exposed, but as I'll demonstrate here in a second, it's not actually exposed. So, right, we're going to go off screen, off the left-hand side of the screen. So we're going to paste regular tiles, and we're going to walk quite a decent distance there. So you need to... It's hard to see where Link is, because he's underneath those tiles. But I'll demonstrate here. Like, you copy these tiles and walk so that Link is off screen, like so. That's as far off screen that you want to go. So, yeah, you just do that. Walk a second or two, like... Just no more than a second, actually, until you know how fast Link is moving. Just internally think is like, okay, right now it's been long enough that he's had to go off screen. You don't want to go too far though. Okay, so from here we're gonna do 5 rolls left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 roll up. And we're gonna touch the top side of the top of the screen. It's gonna load us. Gonna pause buffer. It's gonna load us into here. Now, this is really lenient, so where we've landed. Yeah, so we're gonna, this is really lenient where we land. Like, depending on when you let go of the Firerod and started rolling when you're off screen, you've got all of, like, this much space here to land. Like, if you land here, you're gonna land on the pond, it's fine. But if you go too early, or, like, you only do 4 rolls or something, you're gonna land there, which is bad. If you go too far, you're gonna land inside here, and it's not gonna be good. I can't remember exactly what happens, but if you get onto layer 2, which basically means you can't interact with these walls. Let me demonstrate what happens when you're actually on layer 2 here. So if you're on, like, you may get stuck inside of here or something, and like you get put onto layer 2, and like you'll just be able to walk through all these walls like this, and you'll be like, oh, this is not right. To be able to get down onto layer 1, you want to copy this tile like this and just paste it around like that, and you just hop down like so, like we did. Like we did a similar thing back in Palace. But you can just hop down back into bounds like so. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to avoid fighting the Darknuts to spawn to open this doorway. So we want to copy a loading zone tile onto this doorway. In order to get a loading zone tile, we need to tile cycle. So in order to tile cycle to a loading zone tile, we're going to go to this wall on the side here. It's very important that you select the right kind of wall. This top wall won't work. It has to be a wall in this orientation on the right hand side of the screen. Like so. Hold A and B to paste tiles like so. I'm going to tap left a couple of times. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What you're looking for is this bright tile like this. These bright tiles are the correct tiles that you're looking for. It's 6 tiles to the left. And then we copy this, and you just walk into the loading zone like so. And bam, we skipped the triple Darknut fight before Vaati and immediately entered into the boss. Now, it's very important that you don't go to the very bottom of that screen. If you go to the very bottom of the screen we were just in, it will trigger the Darknut fight to start. At that point, you have to kill the Dark Nuts. If you do not kill the Dark Nuts, but then do this tile cycle strat to get into Vaati 1, there is a mechanic in the game, in that specific fight with the triple Dark Nuts. If 3 minutes go by, where you've triggered the start of the fight, and you haven't killed them, you will get a game over. The lore of what's happening in the story at the moment is Vaati is ringing a bell 3 times to be able to absorb the power inside of Zelda. When the third bell tolls, or 3 minutes pass, you get a game over because Zelda gets all of her power stolen by Vaati. And we don't want that to happen because, game over. You could be in the middle of the Vaati fights and it's like, oh, you didn't kill the Dark Knights, game over. It's very weird when it happens, but it's not something you have to worry too much about. Just don't go to the bottom end of the screen and trigger the Dark Nuts. Yeah, Vaati, Zelda dead. She died. But okay, right, so now we're in the end game. We're in the 3 boss fights before the end of the game. Vaati 1, Vaati 2, and then Vaati 3. Let's jump into them. So Vaati 1 is not different at all in Firerod. It's exactly the same as any percent in Vaati Fight. It's 5 cycles. You have to hit it 6 times, then a combination in the next 2 cycles of 10 in total. So it can be like 6, 4, or 5, 5, or whatever in cycle 2 and 3. And in cycle 4 and 5, you need to do 6 and then 6. If you don't hit it that many times in each of the cycles, then you have to do an extra cycle, and it will be 6 or more cycles. In this whole time, Vaati's going to be teleporting and doing stuff to be annoying. So here we just mash sword. If we mash sword stood there, that's normally going to kill the eyes as they swing around towards you. So just mash sword at the beginning of the fight like so. Right, now we equip Gust Jar and sword from this after we hit the eyes like so. Now we're going to roll up and to the side and slash Vaati. We slash him 6 times. If you don't slash him 6 times, there 2 eyes are going to spawn right now. But we did hit him 6 times. So he's going to spawn 4 eyes like this. If it's 2, you're still in the first cycle, and you need to think, okay, this is still cycle 1, and then recount from that point on. So now we're in cycle 2. Now you just want to mash sword and kill all of the eyes like that as they rotate around towards you really nicely. So now this is cycle 3. We got like 6 hits or something in there. Now we only need to hit it 4 more times. So we're going to stand like here and mash with sword. I missed that last one, but that's fine. Okay, and then a couple more hits in. And that was 3rd cycle. Now we're getting on to 4th cycle. 4th and 5th cycle, Vaati's going to have purple energy around his eyes, which means that we need to use the Gust Jar to suck them off. Now, we can get rid of the purple eyes before, as they spawn in by using the Gust Jar on Vaati. So here we're going to go above Vaati, going to face down and use the Gust Jar, and we sucked up all of the purple energy as it spawned in. And so the eyes are going to fire out without the purple energy being in the way. He's going to teleport and be mean. Now, you need to watch out for the fireballs. These fireballs don't get destroyed by the Gust Jar or the sword. And when they hit you, you get set on fire and run around in a circle. And run around. The fire lasts for a set amount of time, but if you mash directions, every time you change a different direction, it reduces the time on the fire a little bit. So if you mash very quickly, you won't be on fire for very long at all. So whilst Vaati's doing this fireballs like this, you want to be above him because he only shoots in an arc below him. So if you stand above, you're safe. You want to wait for him to fire all of his fire projectiles and then start hitting him. If you try and hit him whilst he's still shooting the fire, you can be a little bit too close and you'll get hit on fire. And if you start hitting him, you need to hit him 6 times rapidly, or you get an extra cycle. If you hit him a couple times, get hit on fire, you're going to have to repeat a cycle. So you don't want that to happen. You want to just let him shoot his fire. It's a nice, consistent way of doing this fight consistently. Like so. We wait for him to shoot all his fire, go up to him and hit his eye. You want to make sure you get close to him so that as you're slashing each time with the sword, you are hitting him. You don't want to mash too fast, but you want to mash fast enough so that you're hitting him as soon as like his eye is vulnerable each time, and you get those 6 hits in. Okay, now it's 5th cycle. Now we're going to use the Gust Jar again. And it's going to fire out the 4 eyes, like so. We're going to stand above him. He's going to shoot the fireballs. We're going to wait for the fireballs to stop. Really unfortunate, he decided to do a teleport as we started slashing him. So he's going to be teleporting around the room. Teleports are completely random. There's nothing you can really do about it. You can try and preemptive and predict where he's going to be. It's like, is he going to be left or right? I'm going to predict to the right. I'm going to roll to the right. Got lucky there. Oh, that was really unfortunate. So it turns out in the cycle before, I didn't hit him 6 times. My sword slashing wasn't good enough. So that was the end of the 5th cycle, but he's received a total of 11 hits out of these 2 cycles. Instead of 6 and 6, it was 5 and 6. So he's on 11. We need to hit him 1 more time to kill him. So that's unfortunate. That's normally the case of when you get an extra cycle in this fight. So yeah, this isn't the extra cycle. 6th cycle, going to use the Gust Jar again. It's just a repeat of the 5th cycle, effectively. 3, 4, come on. Whilst he's teleporting like this, if you're on low health, you can come down to this bottom right pot and get a fairy. If you may have taken a lot of damage in this fight, maybe you got hit by fire a lot, but you shouldn't have to really get this fairy that often. Avoiding that fire. Okay. Okay, there we go. Right, we managed to hit him. When you get the hit in and the purple puffs, the smoke puffs start appearing on Vaati, that's the end of the fight. So now we want to equip the Firerod and the bow. And unpause. And we transition into Vaati 2. Vaati 2 in this is going to be... I would say it's a little bit easier than any percent, but it's not that much. It's just a little bit different, really, is all it is. It's not. I wouldn't say it's any easier or harder. I'd say maybe a little bit easier, but not too much. Okay, so what we're going to do at the beginning of this is the first thing we're going to do is we equip the Firerod so that we can copy the clone tile, and we're going to paste it around in a big blob. What that's going to mean is when he shoots out his purple spikes, it's going to mean that we've got more opportunities to make clones, and he's not going to bully us with bad RNG. Regular in other categories, if he shoots purple spikes on these spots, it can mean that you can't create your clones and you need to stop charging your sword and slash them to make them visible again. But like if we make a big blob, we have a huge area to make clones, and we can make clones in more favorable patterns. That's going to make this fight a little bit easier. So yeah, big blob here, and then we're going to use the bow to start shooting his eyes. First cycle of Vaati 2, his eyes are always on this bottom, like so. After this first cycle, they will be in random positions, but never a repeat. Never repeat twice in a row. So the second cycle will never be on the bottom. It will be either on the right, on the left, or on the top. 4 eyes in these directions. Yeah, so in other categories, normally we can shoot with the bow faster by using the boots at the same time to cancel the bow shots. We don't have the boots, they take way too long to get. We're not getting them in this category. So we have to shoot the bow slightly slower, so this can be a little bit tricky. So there, oh, really unfortunate that he jumped as we fired that bow shot. Okay. And now that we've fired the bow all of those times, and we've pasted a big blob of tiles so that we can create clones easily, now we're going to equip the sword, and we're going to start charging our clones. Now we want to make a horizontal line of clones in this first cycle. Okay, that's really unfortunate. He did aim... whilst Vaati's moving around, there's 4 different actions that he can do. Whenever he stops, there's 4 different things that he can do. He can either start shooting purple spikes around, which he's already done. These purple spikes go and land around. You can slash them, and they have a chance of dropping arrows or hearts. You want to ignore them really, unless they're directly in the way, or you've got some free time to in between cycles where you can slash them a bit to see if you get a drop or something, or to get rid of ones that are in the way. So that's the first thing he does, purple spikes. Second thing he does, light blue electricity. The light blue electricity does, they're in random directions. They shoot in all different directions. So he'll normally fire 3, it'll be like 1, 2, 3 or something, like in random directions. And they're fairly easy to dodge. The third thing he does, aimed dark electricity like this, where he fires 3 electricity projectiles, but directed at Link's position. They don't home in on Link, they just fire directly towards him, so you do have to dodge out of the way. So we got unlucky where this was the thing that we got. And then the fourth and final thing he does is he just jumps up in the air and lands, and it makes rocks land randomly around the arena. That's really unlucky to get if you've made your clones and you're ready to start hitting him. If he does his jump up and slams the ground and makes rocks falling, there's a random chance that a rock is going to land exactly on your clones and kill them and make you have to create clones again, and that loses a huge amount of time. That's really unfortunate. And purely random. So those are the reasons why Vaati is an awful boss. Vaati 2 is an awful boss. Also, with its random movement around the room, he likes to hug the wall that is the side that his eyes are. So, like, if the eyes are on the bottom, he'll hug the bottom so that you can't get below him to hit his eyes. Those are the things that make the boss really suck. Okay, so we made sure to start charging our clones, and we're going to move out of the way to dodge this projectile's hits here. We're going to make a vertical line of clones like so. Okay, so there are visual cues for knowing what kind of attack he's going to do. When he does the aimed electricity, there's electricity between his horns, and it's dark purple or dark blue. When he's going to do the random electricity, his whole body electrifies light blue. Like we just saw, it was electrified light blue. So he's going to do random electricity in random directions. We want to try and hit him before he's going to get this attack off. Also, we had to slash to get the purple spikes out of the way, and it dropped a arrow. Be aware, you're going to get if you pick up an arrow drop in here, you're going to get a text box for it. So yeah, we're going to mash our sword here. Okay. We didn't manage to hit him before. We were trying to hit his eyes to make him vulnerable before the blue spikes, the blue electricity got fired. But luckily, the random directions of it meant that we could dodge it. We got pretty lucky there. A mix of lucky and unlucky. Okay, so now we want to try and get you want to get into Vaati a little bit. This is hard to. You just need to practice Vaati 2 and get used to having a vertical line of clones. Walking close enough to Vaati so that you can slash to hit all the eyes. If you're too far away, you just slash the bottom eyes and not the top ones, and it doesn't trigger damage to kill him. But if you walk too high up, you just walk into him and kill your clones, and that really sucks. You don't want that to happen either. Okay, so this is the first of 3 stages to this fight. In the first stage, you can just mash sword on him. It's fine. So just mash like that. You can do a spin attack, and it will also work, but mashing is more than enough. Okay, so now it's cycle 2. Now he's going to respawn his eyes, and they are randomly in either to the left, to the right, or above on him. So we're going to start shooting. I like to shoot these 2 bottom orbs below him. So that high-pitched ting that we got there indicates that this was a fake. This wasn't a. This is not the side that he's on. So it's not on any of these positions here. So this one is not real, and this one is also not a real eye as well. So we don't need to hit this one to be able to determine where it's going to be. It's either going to be on the right-hand side, or it's going to be on the left-hand side. So I'm going to hit this eye as well. Okay, so that means that it's going to be on the right-hand side. You can just logically deduce this by going, okay, so it can't be on the bottom because it was a repeat of last time, and there's also a blue one in place. So you can logically deduce that the real eyes are or the red orbs are going to be on the right-hand side. When you just practice Vaati 2 a lot, you just get used to being able to identify where the what side the eyes are on each time. Cool. So now we're going to go hit them all whilst he's moving around. In the second cycle, you know that you're in the second cycle because the eyes are not on the bottom. If the eyes were on the bottom again, we know that we didn't slash him enough times, and we're still in the first cycle. Because the eyes are in a different position, we know we hit him enough times, we're out of cycle 1, we're in cycle 2. But we're not in cycle 3 yet because he's moving slowly. If he's moving slowly and like walks and like does a little bit of a jig and then walks slowly and then does a bit more of a jig, the slow movement means that he's in cycle 2. If we, at the end of this cycle, if we haven't done enough damage to him, he's going to stay in cycle 2. He hasn't transitioned into cycle 3 yet, which means that he's still going to move slowly. So if he's still moving slowly again after this, you need to remember that you're still in cycle 2, and need to repeat it before you can get into cycle 3 to finish the boss. Okay, so from this position, we're going to make a vertical line of clones. So, like so. Slash to make him vulnerable. Now, for this and the last cycle, we need to do a spin attack to deal a huge chunk of damage to him. This boss is bugged, and for some reason, a spin attack with your clones just like does a huge amount of damage and just sets him way below his damage threshold. So all you need to do is one spin attack enough to transition the cycle to the next one. So we're going to charge our clones and do a spin attack. Like one hit is enough. I know it hit twice, but that second hit really didn't do anything else. Okay. Now we're into third cycle. He's going to start moving around quickly, but he's starting to do... This is going to be aimed electric because he's charging up electricity, and we can't see, but it's he's not charged electricity all over his body. It's just between his horns. There's just like a little line of electricity. So he's going to do aimed electricity at us. But we first need to determine where the eyes are. So we fired at this bottom left one, which means it can't be the far left-hand side, because that would have been red otherwise. It can't be the bottom, because it would have been red otherwise. It can't be the far right, because we just had that in the previous cycle. So it has to be at the top. So just from one arrow hit, you know exactly where the eyes are going to be. It's at the very top. So we're going to get him to shoot his purple electricity at us and avoid it. And hit at the back, like so. And we're in cycle 3, he's moving around quickly like so, and it's making it difficult to hit him. But we want to preempt him and stand where he's going to be, rather than chasing after him. So like, when he was moving around there, I rolled all the way to the bottom of the arena so that we could catch him as he was coming towards us, make it easier to hit us. When he's moving around quickly, it's difficult to hit him. When he stops, it makes it easier to hit him, but at the same time, he's stopping to do an attack, which is bad because it's gonna slow us down in some way. So yeah, this fight's really tricky, and it becomes just a lot of practice and understanding all of these different mechanics and putting all the pieces together to understand how your strategy should be to approach this guy. Okay, so we're gonna make another horizontal row of clones. We're gonna do a spin attack to kill him. He's going to move around. We want him to keep moving. Okay, that was really unfortunate. Whilst we're making clones, we don't want him to be doing any sort of attacks like this, because they can stop us from making our clones, or just kill the chance of making clones and make us waste even more time. We want him to keep on moving around in this circle. He can change which direction he starts rotating in, but only after doing an action. So here he may decide to start going the other way around, but we don't know what he's going to do. I think he's going to be dropping rocks from the ceiling here, so hopefully we just need to pray that the rocks aren't going to land on us. Oh, and he's doing purple spikes at the same time. Yuck. Oh, and he's doing another thing in... Yeah, this is really unfortunate. You have to... Okay, yeah, this is really sucky from Vaati. He's moving to the very top of the arena so we can't get above him, and he's doing all of his actions as quickly as possible. This is classic Vaati 2 RNG, just to really get on your nerves. Dude, get lost. And then, yeah, like, didn't even have enough time on the clone. Like, it wasted so much time, our clones ran out before we could even hit him. And now, whilst we're making clones, he's moved. Yeah, classic Vaati 2. This is absolutely, like, to be expected when you're fighting Vaati 2. He's not going to be nice. Dude! Yeah, and moves right over the last tile that you're trying to make so that you can't create your clones, and now we're in a really rough spot here. I don't know if this is going to work. He's going to keep moving around now, isn't he? Ugh, fuck you. The pattern would have worked if Vaati wasn't a complete dick to us. Okay, right. Really, like, it's so annoying that he's stopping on these purples, on the things. These are all of the, like, everyone's pet peeves with Vaati 2. Whatever side his eyes are, he stays on that side of the arena so you can't get around him. Every time he stops on the pad so you can't create your clones. And as soon as you create your clones, he's just doing all of his actions to try and kill your clones as much as possible and making sure that you can't damage him. This is just classic Vaati 2. He's going to keep walking around and stopping at the top of the arena. This is, yeah. This is completely standard Vaati 2. Okay. Really lucky there that the clones that we made also hit his eyes and made him vulnerable. Now, sorry, I have to get, like, come on. This is so stupid from Vaati. Vaati 2 is one of the most frustrating things in this whole game, with all of this awful RNG-based stuff that it can throw your way. You get mad at Vaati 2 for every awful thing that it does. Right, so, final cycle. What we want to do, we want to charge a spin attack, do a spin attack on Vaati. We made sure he was vulnerable. He's vulnerable right now. You don't have much time. You need to do this very quickly, otherwise you don't have enough time. You want to do a spin attack and then hit him as quickly as possible with a regular slash right after doing the spin. So, like that, and then slash like that. The spin attack does enough damage to get him down to the threshold, and then the one hit triggers the end of the fight. And then when he starts doing purple, not purple, just smoke clouds like this, that's when you know he's dead. Yeah, if you do the spin attack and you try and slash and like he closes his eye, that means that you didn't hit him to kill the fight, and you're gonna have to repeat the cycle again. If you get the spin attack off on his main body, not a spin attack or anything to hit the eyes, but a spin attack on his main body, his health is down at the threshold, so any hit will kill him and end the fight. So you don't need to worry about doing a spin attack in the like next time you make him vulnerable. Just hit him instantly, and it will just end the fight. If you hit him and it doesn't end the fight, then you've really made a real pig zero of this, and like you try again, spin attack, regular slash. We'll kill him. Okay, so that is Vaati 2 over. Right, now we're going on to the very final fight. Honestly, Vaati 2 is the worst part of the whole game. Everything, like, it's going to be much nicer from this point on, but yeah, Vaati 2 is just always awful. Don't worry about it. Now, so normally we would go and save Zelda and then escort her out of the dungeon, and then it would spawn us into the boss fight. Now, we're going to skip directly to the boss fight by... we are outside the dungeon right now. This is an outside Hyrule Castle section, and if we remember back to the beginning of this dungeon, the sanctuary, like the area that we're in, like in the little grass courtyard, is in the outside section of the dungeon because we could transition to one of the outside sections of the dungeon that had the cloud gliding thing. So yeah, we're in the same map as that. So we can go from this room to that in one transition. here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to equip the Firerod and the cane. I think, yeah, Firerod and... We'll go Firerod and cane for here. We are going to use the Firerod, walk down off screen, and we're going to do 5 rolls down. Hold on, can I... Let me... I do have a map for it, but it's not, like, we just go down a bunch here. So, where am I at the moment? I'm, like, here. So, you use the Firerod to walk off screen like so, and right as you're at the edge of the screen, you do 5 rolls down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you do 2 rolls left. 1, 2. Now, we're on the left-hand edge of the screen right now. We're going to touch the left-hand edge of the screen. And as the camera's panning over, we're going to pause buffer to snap the camera to Link. And we're going to land on this wall. It's going to roll us down here. And we're right outside the Vaati 3 fight. We can just touch here, and it's going to spawn us into Vaati 3. Like so. And the trigger's right there. And bam, we're into the Vaati 3. Okay, Vaati 3 is very similar to how we would do it in other categories and how you would typically fight the fight, but we can make it a little bit easier with a Firerod. Especially in the first half, we can make the first half much easier. So we're going to come over to the sides of the arena like so to drag him over here. We want to stand like behind the portal. You can stand on the portal. Whilst you're on this portal, Vaati is not going to be able to deal any damage to you. And what we're doing is we're waiting for him to stick one of his arms in the ground. We dragged him off to the side so that he's like on the side of the portal and isn't directly in front of the portal. Now, he rose his outside arm. This outside arm is the bad arm. There's a 50-50 whether or not he's going to do inside arm or outside arm. He did outside arm, which is really unfortunate because whilst we have to deal with this inside arm, this outside arm, this inside arm is going to be swiping at us and getting in the way whilst we're trying to do stuff over here. So, if it's the outside arm, what you want to do is you want to run over to the left here so that this arm's not going to be in the way. If this arm is the arm that goes in the ground, it's much easier. And you don't need to worry too much about it because the other arm's not going to be in the way at all. So, it's going to respawn like that. It's going to come out of the ground, roughly like underneath one of the tiles that Link has stood on. So if you're just walking around, it's gonna spawn on one of those the tiles that Link stood on. As soon as it comes out the ground, you use the cane on it to flip it over and unveil the Minish hole, and then you jump onto the Minish portal to shrink and go into the fight, into the arena. And then yeah, we walk up into here. Right, when you spawn in, all of the eyes are going to spawn in the middle of the room, and then they're going to, like, spread out. So you want to do this as quickly as possible. What we're going to do is we're going to copy the loading zone for the entrance of this area. And we're going to paste it over the enemies. What this does is wait, muted? I'm not muted. What's going to happen is we're going to paste the entrance tiles over the enemies. It's going to lock the enemies in place, and they're not going to be able to move. They're not going to be able to run around the place, and it's going to make it so much easier to be able to deal damage to these guys and kill them. So, copy that and walk over here. This guy was so nice to us. Okay, so this is the guy that we're looking for. You notice the other guys all look the same, but this guy has, like, his eye is looking towards Link. If we go around to the other side, it would, like, follow Link, and it's always looking towards him. This is the one that we're looking for. This is the vulnerable one that we can deal damage to. Yeah, so it can go in, at the start of the fight, it chooses to go in one of 4 directions. It can go down, left, right, or up. If it comes down towards us, that's perfect. We can just walk right into it. If it goes up, we can try and walk up and, like, catch it before it walks up, but normally it touches the top of the screen and then goes left or right. If it goes to the left or the right, then, yeah, it's gonna just, like, wander off. But you just need to chase after it. Down is the best because, yeah, from this spot, that's perfect. Now it's locked in place. It's not gonna move at all. These other guys are gonna walk all over the place, but they can't come in and bother us because these are like walls to the so they can't come in and bother us. We're like safe here. This is such an easy strat to be able to fight these guys and to not get bullied. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pause and equip the sword over the Firerod. And then we're going to mash sword on it to kill it. You want to do 8 hits. If you're mashing it, it's probably too fast to be able to count 8 hits. But until it starts dying, you can notice when it starts dying, and then you want to exit out. As soon as it starts dying, you can exit out of this area. Like so. Right, now we're going to grow and deal with this last arm by jumping on the portal and waiting here. It's going to do like swing its arm, it's going to shoot things. It's fine, we just stand here and wait. We don't need to do anything. You know, you should wait for it to stick its arm in the ground. This is pure RNG, we can't decide when it's going to stick its arm in the ground. Right, it's going to stick its arm in the ground, we're going to hop off the portal. Right, that was really unfortunate timing because he did an electric attack as his arm was sticking into the ground, so we had to like stay on the side of the portal so that the electricity hit the portal and got blocked by it, so we didn't get zapped by it. But we were a little bit too fast with the cane shot. We hit it before it was fully out of the ground. Okay, now we hit it. Now we can shrink and go inside of it. Right, before we enter, we do want to equip the Firerod and the lantern. And I'm going to do a strat here. Okay, so what we want to do... Normally, it's really awkward to use the lantern and the Firerod at the same time. Because if you have the Firerod equipped... if you have the lantern equipped by pressing B, if you try and use the Firerod by holding A, R, and then B, you have to press B again to paste the tiles around the Firerod to be able to paint it like a paintbrush to catch these guys. It's going to turn off the light from the lantern and plunge us into darkness again. So what we want to do is have the lantern off, use the Firerod, A, R, B. That B press we hold is going to turn the lantern on, and we're going to be able to paste tiles around Link. Like so. Wait, no, sorry, I've said this wrong. Before we use the Firerod, you hold B to turn the lantern on like this. We're holding B and we're making sure B is held down from the moment that we turn the lantern on. Now we hold A and then R to be able to paste these tiles. So we've copied. You face down. Hold B to turn the lantern on, then you hold, whilst keeping B held down, you then hold A and R to turn the Firerod on, start pasting tiles around. The lantern's turned on, it's going to remain on so we can see where the enemies are as we're walking around pasting, like so. Okay, he's down here, perfect. Right, now we can equip the sword. That's the last time we need to use the Firerod, and we can exit out the fight. Okay. That is the arms for this boss done. Now we're in the final phase of the boss, which is tennis. You know, classic Zelda boss. Final boss doing tennis. As soon as we get out of the arm, we want to try and make clones as quickly as possible and stand in front of Vaati. Vaati has can do 2 actions. He can either shoot electricity in an arc in front, or he can shoot blue balls directly in front of him. If you are stood at the beginning of this fight, if you go and stand directly in front of Vaati, he's always going to shoot blue balls, which is what we want, because we want to deflect the blue balls back to make him vulnerable. If we don't get in front of him fast enough, he's going to shoot electricity in an arc, and it's going to waste our time, and he's going to have to move around again. I don't think we were fast enough. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He's doing electricity. So, to avoid electricity, you want to walk diagonally up left away from him. Because of the line of clones that we've made like this, it means that if the electricity is coming down towards us, we've got like a bigger area for them to hit, so it's going to be more likely that we get hit. But if the electricity is coming sideways, like we've got a thinner profile so that we can like fit in between the gap between the spread of the electricity at us. So we're going to go and stand over here so that when he shoots them, it's going to be easier to dodge. And further away we stand means that the more time we have to react to these electricity coming towards us. Okay, really easy to dodge if you do it like that. But if you stand directly in front of him, it's almost impossible to dodge. Okay, so that was electricity. We got bad. At the beginning of that fight, if you're too slow, you get an electricity. There's another instance of you did nothing wrong and you get electricity. If he decides... he moves randomly here. This is purely determined by RNG. If he moves fast enough to bounce on the left-hand side of the screen, he moves over to the left and bounces off of it and comes back onto the screen. If he just bounces, he's just going to trigger electricity. It doesn't matter where you're stood to make him do blue balls. Just purely bad RNG means that he's going to fire electricity at you, and there's nothing you could have done about it. But yeah, so now that he's shot electricity and has moved, we're going to make sure that we're standing directly in front of him. Like so. Okay, now that he's stopped and he's going to start charging blue balls like this, we want to position Link and his clones directly in front of Vaati like this. And we're going to... there's two different strats for doing this. I like to time a sword slash for the moment that they get fired. Like that. So I preempted it a little bit too early there. You don't want to use sword too early, but like as soon as they fly towards you, you want to use the sword. The further up you and your line of clones are, the less time you have to react, but the faster you hit it back. I would say stay as low as possible to give your time that reaction time, so you can see it coming towards you and you can slash to recoil it back. Just to be as safe as possible. When you get more used to it, you can come further up. But you don't. It's like fractions of a second you're saving here. If you go lower, it makes it more consistent and less likely you're going to get hit. Like all of these, if you fail to knock back the eyes, the blue balls, it takes like 10-15 seconds to retry, which is a lot of time loss, and you don't want to have that right at the end of your run. So yeah, and you're normally having nerves coming in at this point, so you would want to make sure that you're like perfectly lined up. There's a few things that you can do to make sure that you're lined up properly. You can use the sword. You point the sword towards the eyes and use that as like a visual cue to know, okay, I'm vertically aligned perfectly with Vaati here. Okay, but yeah, so you successfully knock the blue balls back, kill your clones, and come up and slash Vaati. Now, in this phase of the fight, all you need to do is 2 hits to him, and that's enough damage to progress the fight to the next cycle. So, I like to do like 3 or 4 just to be completely sure, but you don't want to be mashing there forever until he becomes invulnerable again. You just want to get a couple of hits in, and then start charging your clones again. You want to use this time whilst he's waking up to make your clones again. Now, you may wonder why I'm making these clones in this pattern like this. I'm making sure that the real Link is not on the far ends of this line of clones, because Vaati can be mean, and he can, when he moves, he can move and stop on the very end of the screen. If that happens, he's hanging a little bit off the edge of the screen, and you also need to do that. If Link is one of the ones on the very end of the screen, you can't go far enough off screen to be able to position, to be able to knock back and volley the shots back to Vaati. But clones don't have interaction with the ground, so you can make clones hover off the edge, and it's fine. So yeah, like you can hang off the screen like that. Okay, so here we're going to show off the other strat here. I'm going to create my clone. I'm going to start charging my sword here. And I'm going to charge a spin attack. And align Link up like that. So I'm lining Link up so he's directly behind, like directly in front of the orbs like that. And then this is the other strategy that I recommend. Either doing the single slash like I like doing, or other people do this where you face away with the sword, or you can face up towards them with the sword. I heard facing away is slightly better. I don't know. Experiment about with it yourself. Find what you find more comfortable. None of these methods are wrong. I'm just providing all of the different options so you can choose which one you prefer the most. You want to be the most comfortable here. So, like that. So I was really late with my spin there. Like, the spin charged at the moment that I released it, which was really lucky. But yeah, you normally have a really lenient amount of time. As soon as the blue balls get fired, release a spin, and it makes it really easy to knock back the shots. And then, yeah, same thing here. It's just, we're repeating this 3 times in a row now. It's just volley back, do 2 hits, create clones. You just keep repeating that. On the 3rd one, we're going to approach the final cycle now. This is where time for the run's going to happen. Right, so we've done 2 hits in all of the cycles. This is the very last cycle. We're going to hit him 2 more times. The first hit's going to do damage, and then the second hit is going to kill him. And on that second sword hit, it's going to instantly change his. He's going to change into his death animation. From that moment, that's the end of the run. So the second hit is when you hit time on your timer. So 1, 2, like that. That's the point that ends the run. And that's where you say GG. And yeah, that is the Firerod category done. So yeah, I just want to do a little bit of cleanup at the end here. Let's go to the, just explain how timing for this category works. So if you're playing on emulator, you want to be, when you create a new file, when you start the game, you want to create a new file. So you can tell it's a new file because Link has no Eslo hat, and it has no other items. This is a fresh file. And you know it's a fresh file because when you load in, it's going to trigger the cutscene like this. If this happens, this is a fresh file. So once you have a fresh file, you want to make sure that you have... Hold on, let's go over to my... Let's actually go over to my my layout so you can see what is being displayed. Okay. Here, so this is how I record my actual runs. I've got my timer on the left-hand side of the screen. And you need to make sure that you're displaying the FPS counter and the frame counter. So when I play the game, you can see that there's a counter that's like 10,000 and it's counting up. That's the frame counter for the run. And you need to have your inputs displayed. You can either show it through BizHawk natively by going View and Display Input. The other options are here as well. If you on BizHawk, at the very top, you click View and then you can click Display FPS, Display Frame Counter, and there's also Display Input. When you click Display Input, you can't actually see it because I've got it on the wrong section, but they're just letters that appear at the top of the screen. That's the minimum requirement that you need. You can use Lua scripts to have these more colorful input displays like I have to make it more nicer to look at. And yeah, so to start a run, you need to do a hard reset. So you need to go to in BizHawk, you go to Emulation, and you click Reboot Core, and then you're going to get a black screen, and then you're going to get the Game Boy logo like this. This Game Boy logo only appears if you have the GBA BIOS installed in BizHawk. You have to have the GBA BIOS installed. You can easily find it online. Just search GBA BIOS and download the first link. Drag and drop that onto BizHawk. That's going to install the BIOS into it so that it's required because it changes the timings of certain things in the game. So to make sure everything's consistent, you need to have the BIOS installed. Another thing is if you drag and drop the BIOS onto BizHawk, it will immediately still decide to skip that. Actually, hang on. Let me do this so you can see what I'm saying. Okay, right over here. Yeah. So here's what my BizHawk looks like. I'm running Dreamy's Lua script to display. You've got this big blue area over here where the FPS counter and the frame counter are, and the input display. So I'm capturing these with chroma keying, so I've got it nicely displayed on my stream. It's perfectly fine for you to use. And yeah, so here's the things where I said view, and then you can go display FPS, display frame counter, and input display here. Here's where you go emulation, reboot core to start a run. If you reboot core and it goes immediately to Nintendo Capcom and doesn't show Game Boy, you don't have the GBA BIOS installed properly. You need to go to config. Wait, no. Is it GBA? Yeah, okay. It's GBA, settings, sync settings, skip BIOS, and you want to make sure this is set to false. Like if you double click it, it goes from true to false. You can tell that it's false. Like false is bolded, so yeah, make sure you got it set to that. Press OK. Then when you do reboot core, it will take a while because it's being done. It's taking a while because of. There we go. Okay, yeah. Then we get a GBA Nintendo, Game Boy Nintendo. Then it goes to Nintendo Capcom, and then this is how you start a run. And then you just mash through, and it will. Timing starts on the input that starts the file. So when you have your live split open, you have like you start a run. You don't press start on this timer yet. You get to here and time there from that input that you do to load the file. So on the file select screen, you press A to open the file, and it there are three options at the bottom. It's always hovering over start at the beginning. You just press A to select start, and from that A input that clicks on start, you that's the point that the timer the run starts, and then you watch through the intro cutscene. And we started this tutorial right at the beginning where we picked up the Firerod. So you just starting a run, you go through the intro cutscene up to picking up the Firerod, and then you take it from there. Okay, so that is everything that you need to know to be able to speedrun the Firerod category. With the sorter out, I hope that is useful for everyone. I have no idea how long this video is. I started recording a very long time ago. I did it all in one go. But yeah, check out links for important information in the description, and thanks for watching. See you guys later. Oh, okay.